That beat goes harder than it like really has any reason to do. I love that song. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is crunch time. It is sponsored by Fanduel, and it is at a really weird time. We're doing a whole flip-flopping thing here because of just the way the slate is built. But we wanted to get you, the best crew in the biz, and we decided, you know what, Dean, we're leading off this time. It's our time to shine. Joined by a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. Andy Means. How you feeling, Means?
Out of sorts, needless to say, because we're doing a show at 5 Eastern. But yeah, FanDuel takes care of us, so we want to return the favor and talk about the FanDuel slate. So we thought we'd mix it up a little bit. Dean can bat us in. We're going to get on base. Dean can bat us in.
Right. And now Dean's going to have to deal with the chaos as the late breaking news happens, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the main slate.
Must see TV, folks.
Yeah. You're kind of off the hook, right? Like you don't expect anything's going to happen here in the next.
Assuming nothing happens with the Mavs Magic game. Yeah. But even if news breaks, it's not like we're scrambling to figure it out for the people. We can just sit back and take our time. And now we just throw all this stress on Dean. It's going to be a great night.
Really, Dean's got the cushy job if you think about it. By the way, they still have 90 minutes of content coming up after us. So I say that in jest. Dean's hardest working man in the biz. You know who else we've got here? We've got the one, the only Keith Eyster, a.k.a. the Iceman. What's happening, Ice?
Yeah, not too much. Definitely a weird dynamic on this slate with the one game locking an hour and a half before anything else. For tournaments, and you have Luka in that game. So if you want to play some Luka, it's tough to get overweight on Luka, I think, on this slate, just because there's so much that could happen with all these games after it. So interesting dynamic for tournaments with this weird start time.
Okay, just that you don't want to lock up that much salary because there could be stars who end up in really good spots, basically.
We'll get that and roster spots in general. So, if you're playing Luka, if the Magic are keeping it close, you probably want the Magic on the other side of Luka as well. So you essentially want a game for Luka and
well, your audio sucks right now, so I'm gonna. I understood what you were saying, even though you're a robot as you said it. Means.
Yeah, probably what he's going to say is you have to. I think you basically need to commit to it or get away from it. If you're going to play Luka in tournaments, you need to bring some Magic back on the other side and Paolo's out too, which muddies things up a little bit on the Magic side.
But that makes the Magic. I get it now. Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll talk when I go through the cash game stuff too. There's a decision point with Luka for this slate as well on FanDuel, so we'll talk about that eventually.
Okay, very good. Well, I guess we can kind of just start there. Obviously, Luka is a good play. I believe this is the second longest streak in NBA history that a player has started with 30 points or more. It's his every game so far this season, 8 or something. Wilt Chamberlain once started with 80, but other than that, this is the longest streak that anyone's ever done that. So he's probably a pretty good play. I want to talk about that Magic game a little bit, but first, did you know the FanDuel Single Entry Series is back for NFL? Reserve your entry at the $5, $33, or $100 tier. Get in on the action, weekly and seasonal prizes. It's good stuff. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook as well if you're in a legal sports betting state. You get their bonus offer. Bet $5, get a 3-month pass to NBA League Pass, regardless of if that bet wins or loses. Got to do the single entry series. It's just single entries where it's at, so make sure you're getting in that. Okay, that's out of the way. Means talk to me about this slate kind of in general.
Before I talk about this slate in general, we have to give props to our boy Roth. Monday night, poo-pooed Kevin Durant a little bit because he's a Mavs guy, knows what they're doing. Took him out of his game, man. He was usage was down a little bit. Teammates didn't convert as much, but I think he had mid 40s DraftKings points or fantasy points.
Not going to get
you called it, Roth. Props to you, man.
Well, I know that the last time they're in that situation, and just in general, if there's only one guy, they're not going to let that guy beat you. So they're throwing doubles at him all night. As soon as he gets the ball, he's getting hockey assists, and he's not doing any damage. So thank you. I wish I had the balls means to put it up on scores and odds, put his unders.
Oh,
he under total, under assists, all that. But I feel like then they'd really be like, "What's the hell's the weather?"
Oh, they would flip out if you put that up on Scores and Odds.
So I didn't do it, but I wish I would have, obviously, in hindsight, as it was the right take. But okay, hey, we got to talk about this slate because Dean's going to be knocking on the door here in 23 minutes saying, "We live in a world of a salary cap." So we got to get to it.
So I want to make sure I gave you your flowers first. So all right. So one of the key decisions I think in cash games on FanDuel is, are you playing Luka or not? Because it's basically like, do I play Luka? Do I play KD? Do I play Booker, which you're probably playing anyways? Do I play Rozier, which you're probably playing anyways? So I think you can get like one really, really expensive guy. And that's what it comes down to. And it's like, for me, my viewpoint on these sorts of things, especially nowadays in cash games where the margin is just so thin, I prefer to wait on stuff like this because we didn't even really talk about other injuries, but like Trey's questionable still, Steven Adams questionable.
He had a fish.
Probably, yes. Are you trying to be Dean right now?
Yes, I'm trying to be
Okay.
All right, continue.
I'm loving this theme. This is great. Then we have some Portland guys who Nurkic and Jeremy Grant are questionable, and one of the beat writers was insinuating that those guys might sit out tonight and then play tomorrow. So there are still some other decisions to be made based on how news goes the rest of the night. Nothing that's like crazy, but I always like, if it's close, like for me, it's close. Do I play Luka or do I play KD? If it's close, I'm going to wait because I think you can get more edge by waiting because people just don't late swap. That's just the fact of the matter. Yeah. And I'm really interested to see if people late swap on FanDuel when the slate locks at 5:30 Eastern and they can literally walk away if they want because my lineup's in, can't do anything about it. And you obviously can do something about it. So for me, I would probably wait. And I love Luka. Like the thing that Roth just said about his 30-plus points streak just shows you how rock solid he is for cash games and for any format, really. So, like, if you want to play him, play him. Like, and the news may work out where it's like if I knew I'll say this. If I knew right now that nothing, like all question, if our projections look like this right now, that they do 4 hours from now, I would play Luka. But I can't say anywhere close to certain that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I do like him more than KD, but I also like the optionality more than the gap between that, if that makes any sense. So I think that's worth talking about a lot just because this is what makes this site different tonight. Like we have this game and the other sites don't. So to clarify, my official stance would be I would wait and not play him. But if you want to play him, he's perfectly fine, and you're going to like your lineup by playing him. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the rest of the stuff.
Let's talk about the rest of that game first.
Okay. Because, from my perspective, I can make it easy. From my perspective, you're not playing anybody else,
even with Paolo out.
Yes, and because a lot of that has to do with the Mavericks. They play slow. So like projections are automatically going to be, I don't know what the right word is, like tempered just because of the matchup. And then secondly, would some of these guys be good plays on other slates? Yes, but we already have CP3 out and Giannis and Drew out. So the other value is just like trumping it.
Okay.
And like Franz Wagner would be a good play on a different slate, but his price is up. Like he was in like the 6s for like the last couple of weeks and now he's 7.3. So I get where your head is going and normally you would be spot on. But the nature of the slate with other cheap stuff being better and the matchup is just pushing them down. So I'll let Ice address this game from his perspective. I know he started to earlier. And I'll let him talk about it from a tournament perspective because from my perspective, it's Luka and that's it. Like don't even consider anybody else.
Okay. Ice in tournament? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go. Yeah, let Ice take it, then we'll come back to me. Yeah, good call.
I like it. Ice, in tournaments here, you said if you're playing Luka, you want some Magic. Which Magic players do you want?
Yeah, Meansy was spot on with what he said I was trying to say, and that's you need the ceiling game from Luka. I obviously want some Luka just so he doesn't bury me before the night even gets started, really. On the Magic side, I think Franz is the guy I would look to. There's plenty of usage to go around with Banchero out. Suggs could be in play, but I'm only playing a Magic on the other side of Luka. I don't have any interest in any of them as one-offs. I have no interest in anybody else on Dallas. It's solely because I just want a little bit of Luka so that he just doesn't bury me. And I think for him to matter on this slate, he needs to just go nuts, and the Magic need to keep it close for that to happen.
Okay, this is so good. You guys are smart. I like listening to what you have to say. Yes. Okay. Like I get it. I didn't like it. It clicks in my head, and I fully understand, and that makes so much sense. But all right, means
can I ask Isaac a question about tournaments?
Yeah, please do.
I mean, I know you kind of insinuated it, but I want to hear your take on Dwight Powell because he's like projecting decently, and he's only 3.6. He's only projected for 9% ownership, and that's the only reason I bring it up is because I think it would make your roster different by going with him as center. I don't know what like getting 24 out of him does for you on this night. So how would you recommend to the people to handle him in tournaments?
Yeah, it's a ceiling problem with Dwight Powell. Not a guy that we're going to see play over 30 minutes probably. I think like 25, 30 would be his absolute ceiling. I don't think that's enough on the slate.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Means let's talk about the slate in general. Now we can kind of remove that game from the equation.
Sure. All right. So guard on FanDuel. I really like Rozier. I'm not really looking too much into his past couple games in the game log, especially the last one. He didn't shoot that well. And his price came up, so it'd look a little weird, but his rates are really up with no LaMelo, obviously, and then no Hayward. And I don't know if Cody Martin has been officially ruled out, but I know he was doubtful at last glance. So I think he's probably one of the next big spins on this slate, and he has point guard, shooting guard. Personally, I would put Booker in first. It kind of is like a logical decision. CP3's out. I'm going to play Booker. Price is really good on FanDuel. He's 8.6. I think he's like at least 9K on DraftKings. So like he would probably be the first spend I put on FanDuel. And then if you want to go like Rozier next, great. You can't do that if you're playing Luka, which is fine. You can still probably put him in and take maybe Rozier out. So that's really it for me as far as like the pool of cash game plays is like of like primary plays at either guard position, because Payne and Carter, guys I haven't talked about yet, but are tagged for semi-obvious reasons because CP3's out and Giannis and Drew are out. The one other guy I'll mention is actually just a guy I'll mention by talking about small forward. Like Grayson Allen is in the mix too. We actually have him projected for the second highest usage rate on the Bucks tonight. The problem being that he doesn't do much else, but like he's 4.2. If you do run a court IQ query with the big three out for the Bucks, Grayson really pops like, oh my God, how am I not playing Grayson tonight? But it's one of those things where you also have to look at the underlying rates. Like his shooting in that, I think it's like 100 plus minutes. Like his shooting in that sample is like 70% true shooting when league average is like 56%. And I would have to look. I bet Grayson is maybe a little lower than that off the top of my head. Well, maybe not. He gets open looks. But yeah, so like regardless, that's beside the point. I really like him at the small forward spot. Other small forwards, Royce O'Neal. Holy cow, man! I wrote up his assist prop this morning on Scores and Odds plug. I was like, am I really going to write up a freaking over on Royce O'Neal assists? But if you look at what he's been doing with no Kyrie and no Simmons and then / limited Simmons because he only played like 16 minutes last game. He had 14 potential assists last game, and he played like 38 or 40 minutes. Like he's basically like secondary creator on this team because they don't have anybody else. So he's 4.8, playing a ton of minutes. I think he's a good cash game play. So he would be the option here. And then like we talked about the KD Luka thing, you're playing KD most likely if you're not playing Luka, and that's that. So like I said, you're probably getting 1, 10, 11K spend. And to me, it's between one of those two guys. I already went over that at the top, but that's really what you're looking at for like the most expensive player you're playing. Power forward. I have Portis tagged obviously because his price is really, really good on FanDuel. I don't have Miles Turner tagged, but he would probably be like the next guy in for me besides Booker. I would probably start out with something like this. Going with those three and going with Turner. That's like the first 5 in for me probably if I was building a cash game lineup on FanDuel. You have Royce O'Neal here. Brandon Clark. So he didn't he underperformed last game with Adams out, but he's a great guy to kind of put in your shell lineup. Man, he's 4-2. Adams is questionable. That game starts, what's that, 2.5 hours from now. So, like, who's going to play Brandon Clark tonight if Adams is rolled out? If Adams is rolled in, no one's going to play him. And keep in mind, this is his projection with Adams in. So, like, it's only going to go up if Adams is out. You could put him at power forward or center. We already kind of talked about the Dwight Powell thing. He's power forward center. Even for cash games, I just don't think you do it. I'm just not comfortable enough by locking in. Even though he's really cheap, you're still like locking up a spot. So like that's just less flexibility you have to just maneuver things around. Center, a couple of these guys already have it. Like if depending on what you're doing with all this stuff I've already been talking about, you can put Portis here, you can put Turner here. Ayton, I really like Ayton tonight with no CP3. Doesn't get a. You can make the argument that it's like maybe a net negative for Ayton because CP3 gets him so many bunnies and good looks.
Yeah.
So like the rates would go up, but the efficiency would go down theoretically. But he's still only 6'7". So like I would be fine with it. If you're not comfortable with him, you can go Jakob Poeltl for 6'5". He will get dunked on tonight by Ja Morant. I will call that right now.
But he's going to try to block it, which is.
And I appreciate that.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'm just alerting everybody that he's getting dunked on tonight.
And you're not wrong.
So, yeah. So it's basically like those four guys is who I'd be looking at, and Brandon Clark. I didn't mention him, but yeah, that's about it for me. So I'll pass it to you and Ice now.
Okay, quick question here in regards to Milwaukee. With Giannis out, is there a big man? I know Bobby Portis kind of counts, but is there like a center that slides into the equation here?
Yeah,
it's more just like Port. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ice. You take it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that was more of a tournament question. Brook Lopez is the guy I think that comes into play. His minutes are so volatile. I certainly get it. Somebody has to score and do a lot more for this team with Giannis out. I think Lopez absolutely in play for tournaments. I prefer Portis just because I feel more secure about his minutes, but you can certainly play Lopez.
Okay, very good. All right, let's talk tournaments here in general, Ice. You want to kind of run through what you're doing on FanDuel?
Yes. So Portland still has a bunch of guys questionable. Another reason I don't want to play Dwight Powell is if Nurkic gets ruled out, Drew Eubanks is 3,500, and he has a much higher ceiling than Dwight Powell. Meansy mentioned Brandon Clark. If Steven Adams gets ruled out, he becomes a smash play. I think there are a lot of cheap big men that you can look to instead of Brandon Powell. I have a ton of interest in this Portland situation. Ideally, I think Simons gets ruled out as well, so there's some usage to go around for Eubanks. But I have my eye on Eubanks. I would like to be able to play him if Nurkic gets ruled out. The other game I think is going far too overlooked is Houston and Toronto. Like Houston is one of the best matchups in basketball. There's no Pascal Siakam for Toronto tonight. Toronto plays one of the tightest rotations in basketball, and they're coming in with like 15% ownership at the top end, and they're just down from there. Van Vliet is a smash at 8,500. Gary Trent is super cheap. Scotty Barnes is priced up a little bit because Van Vliet missed some time and he smashed. But with this matchup at 7,800, I mean, against Houston, I'm totally fine with that.
You bringing it back with Houston?
Yes. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, all three of those guys are in play for me. Probably just one Houston guy for me, though. Maybe two if you want to go. I mean, you do a 3-2 stack, I think, on this game. Anunoby is really expensive on FanDuel, so he doesn't quite make the cut for me. But on DraftKings, he's cheap, and he would be in play. But I want to play all of these Toronto guys and love bringing it back with Houston. It's a pace-up spot for Toronto and the really tight rotation. I think it's a phenomenal game stack. The other matchup I'm looking at is Memphis against San Antonio. Ja Morant, nobody's playing him because he's struggled a little bit here. Desmond Bane is super expensive, but he's going to put 30 real points in the bucket. Probably that's another Deanism for everybody. Steven Adams, questionable. Brandon Clark becomes a smash. So looking at Memphis, San Antonio is becoming just like Houston. Worst defensive rating in the league, and they play at a top 10 pace. So absolutely targeting that matchup as well.
I was trying to think of another Deanism and I couldn't pull it, but that's the perfect one. Points in the bucket.
You should have said this is Kevin Roth 78904.
Yeah. It'd be awesome if Dino comes on the show like half drunk drinking a beer and he turns into me. That really.
Oh man, that's just flipping the script. That's gonna be oh man, I gotta watch that now. Yeah.
All right, let's talk DK real quick, and then I want to open it up for questions because that is something that we do on Crunch Time, regardless of the time it's running. So let's talk DK.
Yeah, this will be real quick. I just want to go over general roster construction for DK. I have 4 guys tagged. So let me just plug those guys in real quick. Garland's still 6'9" for some reason. Turner is much cheaper on DK. You get Payne at the point guard, shooting guard. So it's like a really, really easy start to your build. So let me just go. I'll go through real quick. I'll look at come on. Maybe I don't know what I did here. Yeah, here we go. So real quick, let me look at the guards. Rozier is really cheap again, or not really cheap, but like I like the price tag. He's 7'8". Scoring system suits him a little better. I really like him if you're spinning up. I like Van Vliet if you're spinning up. Cheap, Javon Carter. Like I always say, the salary relief, like that extreme salary relief isn't, I should say, he's not, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. I was going to say something incorrect. I guess it's like what he takes up of the salary cap is a little more on DK than it is on FanDuel. So that's why I have him tagged on FanDuel. And you also have some of just other underpriced guys on DK that don't make him absolutely necessary. I do think he's still a really good cash game play. Don't think you absolutely have to play him. Those are guards. Let me go to the small forward real quick since that's the one spot I don't have filled out. Talked about him on FanDuel. Really like Grayson Allen here. And then I like moving up the pricing spectrum. I like Devin Vassell at 6'5", and then I like Scotty Barnes at 7'7". Those would probably be the guys I would be looking at for the small forward spot. Power forward, you have Portis here. I mentioned Scotty Barnes. You have him there. You have Desmond Bane, small forward. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else here at the power forward spot. Maybe Nwora, but I don't think you need to do that in cash games. I would rather play Javon Carter in cash games just because the minutes are more secure. It's really Portis and maybe Keldon Johnson would be the guys at power forward. And then center, real quick, would be Turner is definitely the guy because he's only center eligible. And then you would have DeAndre Ayton. So like you can go double center. Those would be the 2 guys I'd consider. And I want to actually just double down on what I said too about the Portland situation with Eubanks too. Like I really think I think at least 1 or 2 people are sitting out for Portland. So I think it's like, just be paying attention. Don't set it and forget it tonight. That game starts, we're talking DK now. That game starts at the DK lock. So you will know, but for FanDuel purposes, just keep that in mind.
Okay. Makes sense. Ice, is there anything very different that you want to talk about on DK, or you broad brushed it nicely just talking about the games in general, but is there anything specific you want to add?
Just the cheap guys and how I'm handling them. Javon Carter, I'm fine going underweight on him. I don't think there's a ton of ceiling there. He could score 20 DK points in 30 plus minutes. Cameron Payne, I find that a harder situation to fade, so I'll be overweight on Cameron Payne. And then one thing I missed is the Knicks big man situation I have a ton of interest in. Isaiah Hartenstein played 38 minutes 2 games ago, and he kind of put up a dud, honestly, for as many minutes as he played. Last game, they went to Jericho Sims, who played like 17 minutes, and Hartenstein only played 20 minutes. So we currently have Hartenstein projected for 25 minutes, I think it is. There's a chance that Hartenstein could play well over 30 minutes, and he's in like the 5K range in a fantastic matchup against Brooklyn. So Obi Toppin is another guy who's seen a little bit more run. So those 2 Knicks big men, Toppin and Hartenstein, I have a ton of interest in.
Okay, very good. Let's take some QQs. We've got 5 minutes until FanDuel lock. 5 minutes, I would think, until the Grinders Live crew comes in as well. So let's get to it here. DK tournaments, Ice. You want Ayton or Buddy Hyde? Same price. Projections say clearly Ayton, but Hield has scored 40 in 4 straight games, and Ayton frequently sucks. Excellent.
Yeah, but Chris Paul is out. I think Ayton is a smash. Like, he is very cheap. The matchup against Gobert, not ideal. I feel better about Ayton. I know the ownership difference is pretty big, but I'd still go Ayton.
Okay, very good. Gamble says if Nuara is starting, he'd become a great play, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the entire Buck situation, like that's why I'm saying to fade Carter, go overweight on guys like Nuara, even George Hill. Like if George Hill gets the run instead of Carter, like you're playing him at a fifth of the ownership. I think taking chances on Bucks guys who aren't the higher owned ones is a very smart thing to do.
Okay,
very good. Or can actually like score, like he can get buckets.
Okay, all right. DK Cash. Rozier or Van Vliet, they're within a point on projections, both great matchups. I'm torn. This is a cash.
I would be torn. I would be torn too. If on DK, and it sounds like he just has the money and he can play either. I don't know what projections say. I know he says close. I think Van Vliet's safer, honestly.
Okay. NBA DFS FanDuel Cash means Mobley or Pirtle?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would play Pirtle if that was my lineup.
Very good. Ball says FanDuel Cash means if all this value is going to open up, should I just lock in Luka since you'll be able to get? Since I'll be able to get KD and Booker too.
I mean, theoretically, you'll be able to do that, but you also have to have the spots to like manage the lineup to make it work. It's not just going to like magically happen. Trying to think. Trying to look at the start of the games. Like Phoenix starts at 8, Brooklyn starts at 7:30. I mean, that's a lot of time you're buying by not playing Luka. It's 5:30 Eastern right now.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I mean, if it's me, I wouldn't, because then you can just play KD. Then you can play Booker. Like there's places to spend. Like yeah, that's what I would do. But again, like I said at the top, I would not blame anyone for just locking Luka in and not having to worry about it.
Okay, all right. And then if the value opens up, like he says, I can play Luka, KD, and Booker. At least that's the game plan.
Also true, yeah. If you can figure it out, yep.
Yeah, all right. Is Eubanks a must in DK Cash if Nurk is out? I feel like that's a yes.
I would almost be certain he is, just off the top of my head. I don't think we have a what if for it, but based on what the minutes would likely be and his price tag, I would lean yes.
Okay. DK Cash, Bane or Barnes? Projections love Banes, but I like Barnes. How do you like Barnes in it? Oh, is it Scotty Barnes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. I thought it was Harrison Barnes. Sorry. I was about to throw up, but I feel bad. Sorry.
I think Bane's a little safer, honestly.
Okay. Gamble, Ingram and Levine, good prices on FanDuel. Are they okay for cash?
I don't think Levine is. I think Ingram is. Levine didn't pop up in any of my stuff.
Okay. Also, let's say Eubanks salary relief opens up. Can you then jump on Jokic over on FanDuel?
You can. When that game starts at, that would open up at the same time. You can. The way everything works out with positions and stuff, I would still rather get to like a KD or something personally, but Jokic is fine, yeah.
All right. DK Cash from Freyas, 3v3 means Allen, Durant, Ayton, or Bane, Vassell, and Van Vliet.
I would do the second one.
Okay. All right, we got to hurry here. We've got the Grinders Live crew knocking on the door. They should be here any minute. DK Cash, that's all. Thanks. DK Cash 3v3. Where are we at? Sorry. DK GPP. If you wanted to skip over some of this guard value and play the good ones, how many points of projection would you be willing to give up? So that's an in-depth question, but I love the thought process.
Yes, and there's no precise number. I definitely wouldn't be playing guys who are showing massive negative RG value, but there are, I forgot who you said asked the question, but there are a ton of positive RG values who are going overlooked because the majority of the value is at guard. I think that probably changes a little bit here if Nurkic gets ruled out, if Steven Adams gets ruled out. I think there becomes some big man value as well. So starting your lineups with an expensive guard, John Morant, I talked about, SGA, nobody's playing, love that. Trae Young carrying a questionable tag. Like, we don't know if Utah's for real, but Trae Young could absolutely smash. So I like that idea a ton, and there are plenty of options to do it with.
Okay, very good. Jeff says, do you need anyone from the first game? And our general answer is no, you do not need anyone from the first game, but ain't nothing wrong with a little Luka magic. So no one's going to stop you if you do that.
Cue Roth. Will my computer go to shit when other people get in this room right now in our server?
I don't think so, because you've already been on and it's been going smooth, but I'm kind of intrigued to find out. And the only way to find out is by bringing in the flagship show, the Grinders Live crew. It is Mean Dean himself. What's happening, Dean?
Yeah, what's going on, dude? I'm all sorts of flustered with this old switcheroo, this Freaky Friday we have going on. I don't like that I'm working up to the clock, working up to the dot. My lineup.
Yeah, Dean.
I'm a team player though. I'm a good locker room guy. I'm a gamer. I understand how things happen. We gotta appease.
Are you gonna go subtweet us after everyththing's done? You're like a good guy in the locker room to our face. Then you're gonna go subtweet us later.
He's got the burner ready to go.
I just might. My lineups are looking red-orange tonight, I think, as far as the chance of them actually making some money tonight. I'm not feeling very promising.
Well, you got time, and of course, you got someone to kind of share load with. We got Dre as well. Dre, you were doing wedding stuff today. Is this your wedding?
Yeah, I'm getting married next year. Literally.
No, he's a wedding planner, Roth.
Well, it could have been his brother.
He was inspired by Jennifer Lopez.
It could have been his brother or something that he's in the wedding. No, I'm
getting married in 367 days. So
wow.
Pretty much
already. I mean, you're doing better than I did. I didn't do anything till I just didn't do anything for the entire wedding. So way to be involved. Good work. Hey, that's it for us, guys. Should we anything else? I'm trying to say what Dean says. Anything else you guys want to say before we hand it on over to the Grinders Live crew?
No, let's watch Dean sweat, man. Let's just watch Dean sweat.
I'm gonna be cranky the whole time. We do appreciate you guys appeasing the Fanduel sponsors. If you have the Luka, apparently, according to TJ in chat, let's see, he's talking about the ownership there. Luka being 50% owned in single entry. Yeah, people love their immediacy. People love their instant gratification. Also, Luka is really, really good at basketball, so that kind of makes sense as well.
They not shot is like 2 cheats right on FanDuel. Like, do they not understand that? But whatever, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, you guys got all the time to talk about that.
You guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, guys,
I'm going to build so many lineups. All right, have fun over the next 90 minutes, guys.
Y'all be good.
Have a good one.
See ya.
I was scrambling for some beer, but I was going to try to pull a Roth. I was watching the show beforehand. And
I got that cup, so you got to have always some love in here, some little something.
I don't have any beer in the house. I'm not a big beer drinker. I'll dabble every once in a while, but it's not a necessity.
Why am I still here?
Feel free to leave at any point, Andy.
Okay.
Who's Andy talking to? The producer?
I have no idea.
Oh, this is so weird. You're versatile, Andre. You do this all the time. You can jump on the first show or the second show. This isn't weird for you, but it's certainly weird for me. The handoff. And yeah, it feels like it's supposed to be seamless, but it's a little tricky, segueing out, and saying, hey, we're getting out of here. But, we're going to power on through. And when people are going to show up inevitably 6:30, waiting for Andy to break down the slate. So what do you think, Andre? We didn't have a chance to discuss this, but maybe save the last 10 or 15 minutes. Hopefully we get through it, and we'll knock out questions in chat, knock out questions from the Discord premium, knock out what's going on. If we can get the YouTube, there's still time. We're happy to answer those questions too. And also, we're happy to answer questions along the way, especially if they're pertinent to the conversation. We go game by game, but not a lot of time for pleasantries. But how's everything in your world, Andre? Everything good?
Everything's good. Really good over here. So here's what we could do. I think I like that, but also I'll be Andy real quick, and also towards the end and build a core play lineup for everybody.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. If you want to knock it out that way, we can certainly talk about that. Of course. If you guys are just getting here, you're not aware, FanDuel included because you can hear the hurricane, the tropical storm. I'm not sure what it is right now. One or the other, it's close. I'm in Florida, so it's been raining on and off, and I'm not too far away. Thankfully, I'm gonna dodge most of it, but it's been raining on and off all day. It's storming right now around me, so hopefully we'll be able to power on through and it won't be an issue. But that's the reason why, if you're wondering why, the Dallas game was moved up for safety for those in the Central Florida area. That game going down in Orlando. Do you want to do any sort of screenshot as far as this game, this slate as an overview? I mean, this morning, it's like, well, it's Giannis's world. Giannis, that's the stud you got to smash in. Everybody's out. Matchup against OKC. We know about his rates, like basically almost like 2 fantasy points per minute, just outrageous. But now they, they pulled a swerve on us there in Milwaukee, and now Giannis is out too. So we're talking a lot of Bucks. Bucks are popping up in some optimals. Several are going to be popping up, 2, possibly 3, depending on. And there's some other good spots we're monitoring as well too, and some things may change an hour and a half until lock. First tip off 7:00. But by the way, Andre, shout out the NBA. I don't know if you were watching this or following this. Remember they did the thing on Tuesday when everybody played and it was 15-minute increments?
Yeah.
They tipped off exactly at 7:15 and exactly at 7:30 and exactly at 7:45. They can do it. They have the ability.
Yeah, let's get that every single night. Come on.
Why would we could just do that one time and that's that? That's it? Just what a tease that was. So I've always heard like that's the least all the ability to do that for whatever reason. I don't know why. All right, I'll get off my soapbox, but give me your assessment as far as this slate, because Milwaukee obviously is where a lot of people are going to go for some value. Bobby Portis really hard not to play. We'll have that conversation. What else do you have as far as what you're looking at as far as a slate?
It is actually a very, very, very interesting slate. On FanDuel, Shy is too cheap. Booker's a must. There's a couple. I think honestly 2 Milwaukee Bucks are probably needed in your lineup to win today. That's really it, personally. I don't think you need any more. But it's gonna be interesting. There's also a couple of low-owned GPP plays that no one's gonna play that I'm very, very, very much interested in.
Lonnie Walker was just ruled out. By the way, you're not going to believe this. With the Charlotte Hornets, Cody Martin for the 17th time in a row went from doubtful to out.
Oh my gosh! Can
we stop with this? Could Charlotte just send him on vacation for a month and then check in? You got to stop with this. All right. I don't know why that tilts me, but like they could have ruled him out 3 weeks ago and just said he's out for 3 weeks. But no. Anything else before we dive into the old game by game deal?
No, I think we're ready to go. Let's knock this out real quick for the people.
Yeah. All right. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button, do subscribe, and turn on those notifications. I see TJ hanging out there in chat. He volunteered to join. I wouldn't mind if he wants to join the conversation. By all means, the door is open for you, TJ, if you want to come in and hang out.
Yeah, TJ, you want to come in? Let's do something. Let's do a 3-man booth real quick. We can knock it out quick.
Well, we're still going to be here the same amount of time.
Oh, yeah, we'll be here the same amount of time, but we can just knock this out. Get it done, get some perspective from both sides, because we have this. We think alike, but we also think different too.
Yeah, always happy to get a third person's opinion. It does. It probably actually slows things down, because it's like, hey, Andre, what's your take on Denver? Okay, now TJ, what's your take on Denver? And like there's going to be some overlap. Like, oh, I like Jokic too. He's a good player. He's good at basketball.
Yeah, but there's some games on this slate that we can bypass. Ain't nobody worth playing on some of these teams today.
TJ, he's asking in chat there, producer Steve. That's Steve who's producing. Well, he's all over. He's in the chat as well. He's answering you. Feel free to chime in and join the conversation. Denver is facing Indiana. There are 2 games at 7:00. Denver versus Indiana looks like a pretty good one. It's high and it's tight. Denver is a 5-point favorite here at the Pacers. 235 is a big boy number. As far as the body parts, who's in and who's out in this game, there's basically nobody, right? That's the tricky part. Well, nobody new, I guess we can say. As far as Denver, Ish Smith is out. Not a big deal. Indiana. Well, actually, I think we just got some news as far as Naismith. Is Naismith officially in or officially out? Duarte is out for a while, but I thought I saw Naismith.
He's in.
He's in?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we've seen.
From? Are you serious? Or are you just joking? Someone said Nurkic and Grant are out.
I don't like that. See, that's
Oh, man, that changes this whole slate.
Because bigs against Charlotte is absolutely a thing. And I had some lineup set, and I just was fading for when this is the front end of a back-to-back for him, too. And maybe that's factoring in. I don't know. But, okay, we'll talk about that. And I'm curious how our projection team is going to update it, because I imagine that Drew Eubanks is going to really pop now.
And Keon Johnson is also ruled out, too. So, yeah, he's going to pop a lot.
So if Grant's out and Nurkic, well, we'll get to that game. But that's obviously going to be huge. Drew
Eubanks is starting.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm trying to think the next guy. Like Eubanks for sure. But who's like the next guy? Watford. And like center gets so good now. Oh.
Watford is the next guy.
How many do they give Watford much run? I feel like they don't.
I'm checking right now. He played. See, this is productive. We're not. He played 13 and 15 minutes the last 2 games. So he's going to get I can see probably like 24 minutes for him, potentially.
Okay. I mean, we'll get to that game in a second, but it's also pertinent to the conversation because
actually, let's start with that game because it's at 7, right?
They're both at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, let's just start with that one.
Okay. 7 o'clock. We got Portland against Charlotte. 219.5 is the total. Portland was like a 2 or 3 point favorite. It might move a little bit incrementally. Charlotte's still not very good, obviously. The absence of their front court, Jeremy Grant and Yusuf Nurkic. Nurkic, I thought, was an awesome play. Winslow probably jumps in the starting lineup. Maybe that happens. We'll see. And then maybe Winslow can play the 5, the 4.
He's starting probably at the 4.
Okay. So the lineup's already out. And Winslow's starting as well as Eubanks at the 4-5.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. And I assume it's going to be Lillard, Simons, and Hart.
Yep.
Do we have yes? So Simons and Lillard are both officially in. That's Hart's going to take a step back. I don't want to say he's not playable. He's kind of not playable. And then of course the Charlotte side, Cody Martin. We saw he was officially ruled out. I'm still waiting for that big Terry Rozier game. I feel like it's coming with the absence of Gordon Hayward. We'll see. It's a perfectly fine matchup. And again, I don't want to get too married to these 7 o'clock games, but unfortunately there's a couple of good ones. So it's hard to just sort of like backload it and cross it out. How much are we prioritizing? I think we're prioritizing Drew Eubanks, right? It's hard not to
3,500 lock. 3,500, it's a lock.
Is he forward? What is he on? I know you're talking FanDuel. We're going to do something the other day. I'll do DK and you do FanDuel because I'm not playing on FanDuel today because of the schedule and the 5:30 thing. I couldn't do it. So I'm just playing DK tonight. And it sounds like you're locked in on FanDuel.
Yeah, I put one lineup in already, so good to go. He is a center on he's a center power forward actually on FanDuel. I couldn't find him on power forward though. But yeah, he's a center power forward on FanDuel and a center on DraftKings, and he's 3-2 on DraftKings. That is a phenomenal price.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty useful.
Very much so. He's honestly he's a lock of the night. Josh Hart gets a big bump. I'm really, really interested in Justice Winslow in tournaments, especially more so on FanDuel than DraftKings, just because of the steals and blocks upside. I'm actually trying to look up right now how many turnovers does Charlotte average per season. I mean, this season so far, because if it's high, I might really try to lock in Justice Winslow in my one lineup here.
Eubanks this season, 0.73 fantasy points per minute. I thought it was higher than that, to be honest. I wonder if I stretch it back to last year. Obviously, and that's with everybody, not kicking anybody off the court. I'm just running the court IQ here. Mm-hmm. Let's see, was it better last year? And again, the matchup against Charlotte, you got to bump it up a little bit there too. Like just as a general thought, like just bigs against Charlotte, they just absolutely get wrecked. Let's see, Eubanks. Okay, so if we stretch it back to last year, we got a bigger sample, 793 minutes, right? We're looking at 0.95 fantasy points per minute, and that's before I'm kicking guys off the court. Interesting. Yeah, he's probably going to have to play. What are we going to put him at? Like 28 to 32 minutes?
Yeah, definitely has to.
Somewhere there?
I would definitely say so. Yes, for sure.
Can we say that this is one of those slates again, especially with the Milwaukee stuff or the Portland stuff? Some slates, if you get 20 points or 3K, that's useful. I don't think this is one of them. He's got to get at least 27 or 30 or 35. Is that fair to say? And he certainly can't.
I would definitely say so. Yeah, I think he has to get 30 minimum. You have to like especially on DK, he has a 10x, I think. But even on FanDuel, 10x is good. But it also depends though on how these other players play. Like I know a lot of people have Luka in their lineup. Granted, he has to go crazy because he's 11-8, and I don't know what he is on DK, but he's probably one of the higher priced players. You have to reach the ceiling play. It's like what we talked about before on Monday. They have to have the ceiling play, has to go for that upside. And are these stars going to be able to get to that upside today? That's what we have to think about and see what's going to happen. Like the mid range is strong too again tonight. We got some players I think that are not priced at where they should be, especially when they've been playing well. And it's just a matter of how you're going to construct it and what you think.
Derek's in chat asking for where is the if this then that kind of thing. as far as it's a premium product, like the what if this guy's out, then what changes. So we don't do it for every single player. I dropped it in chat. If you guys are premium, feel free to read it. Unfortunately, we don't have one for the Portland situation, but we have it for like if Trae Young is out, if Chris Paul is out. This was done earlier today. And if Larry Nance is out, which we'll talk about. If Nance doesn't go, I think Valanciunas is kind of interesting. But again, the problem is center is getting distinctly better. This is the question I want to have as far as the guy in Portland. As far as Eubanks, okay, he's center only. I want to know if he had some power forward eligibility. So that's the thing. On FanDuel, he's 3.5 PF/C. He's got versatility. DK, center only, and that's that. Doesn't mean you can't play him, obviously. He's still a really strong play, but there is an opportunity cost. And if he puts up like 24 points, I don't think that's good enough.
No, definitely not good enough. But I think at least I trust Drew Eubanks in the spot enough where he can definitely get there. But if you're running a lot of lineups, don't mind taking some shots on Watford or Brown here in this spot too. I would just make a rule if you're doing using like our lineup HQ tool to make sure those guys are all not together, and then you should be good to go.
Watford also a 0.94 fantasy point minute player dating back to last season in 899 minutes. Pretty solid fantasy player. Josh Hart, fantasy point minute guy as well. We didn't talk about Lillard and Simons. You could play those guys, but they're going to play their standard minutes, and I'm not discouraging it. But I'll tell you right now, our ownership does not have a lot on Lillard and Simons. This stuff changes, of course, with new information. Do you have a thought there as far as the backcourt for Portland?
Not something I want to get to. Honestly, I mean they're fine. Lillard being 8.5 it's a fine price to pay for him because we know like the upside that he has and can have on the slate. But second game back, I still want to wait to see how he does with that calf. Only had 27 fantasy points the last time out, and Simons also has been hobbled with two. I think also this is a second game back as well, if I'm correct. So I'm just going to pass on these guys and focus more on the front court with them, and because I think that's where the value is.
So what about Charlotte? Because I like Rozier again, and I don't want to tie up too much stuff at 7 o'clock, but at the same time, I don't want to be sitting there at 8 o'clock waiting for my games to start, and these 7 o'clock games are absolutely smashing, and I'm already dead before my players even start playing. Where do you have Rozier in like the power rankings of point guards today? Because we'll talk about it. But like Campaign is obviously a phenomenal play today at point guard with the absence of Chris Paul. We're presuming he's going to jump in the starting lineup. We touched on Milwaukee, Javon Carter. I love Freddie VanVleet today. Darius Garland on DK specifically is too cheap. I think he's still 6'9" over there. So there's another opportunity cost thing here. I like SGA running it back with Milwaukee. I think that's a fun thing to do as well. But again, so I don't know if I want too much Rozier, but I like Rozier. Where do you have him? How much are you prioritizing him?
He's not. It's hard. I like Shai a lot. I would say if I had to rank it, he's probably going to be. He might be just outside, probably like number 6. There's other guys I just want to get to in my lineup ahead of Rozier. 8K is a nice little price to pay for him on FanDuel. And I think he is. Let me see. He's 8K. He's 7.8K on DK. So it's a nice price to pay for him. But still, obviously, we need that upside game from him, which he can definitely have in this spot. But he's a sporadic guy. Definitely a guy I would run in my 150. Just not someone I want to be highly interested in.
I pulled up our expert rankings and just was curious. Yeah, like Javon Carter, Darius Garland, FEV, Campaign. Rozier is actually 5th consensus value ranking on DK for what it's worth. Booker 6th. The absence of Chris Paul, you got to assume he's going to step it up a bit. Cunningham's got a really nice price. 7.5K seems a little bit too cheap. I don't love that matchup necessarily, but if that game stays tight against Boston, he's probably doing his thing. Halliburton, kind of on the outside looking at him, you can always play him. And SGA, I love that SGA is somewhat ignored. Like optimals don't love him today. I'm the only person that ranked him, but especially if you're doing the Milwaukee thing, and I presume you're rostering at least. You have to have at least one Milwaukee guy in every lineup. I don't want to say have to, but like if I was running 150, I would make rules.
I think like now we're like which have so much value, Dean. I think you might only need one guy from Milwaukee today.
Well, I would say at least one. Yeah, I might. Yeah. I wouldn't cap it at 1, right? Would you cap it at 1? I wouldn't cap it at 1.
I cap it at 2.
Okay.
I think no more than 2, but definitely 1. I think there's only one guy I feel like is necessary, and obviously it's Bobby Portis. But other than that, I don't think anyone else is really from that team necessary. I would just all those other guys I would just rotate randomly in my lineups if I'm running 150.
TJ's in chat. He's saying he let's see, playing more than one lineup on DK for the first time ever, and now he's making NHL lineups. I'm guessing we're not going to see TJ. He just made like a false. He's like, yeah, we called him on it, and he's like, oh no, I didn't really want to do that. I don't really want to come to the show. I was just trying to be polite. That's like Canadians. That's what they do, right? But you call him on it, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm too busy for that nonsense. Did I say Hart was unplayable? If I did, I didn't mean to. My bad. That was unintentional. You certainly can play Josh Hart. He's not like a must, but I wouldn't like X him out. Besides Rozier, I don't think there's much else on the Charlotte side that gets me excited. Can you play Oubre in Washington? Sure. I guess DSJ, but no chance I'm playing him.
Yeah, he's too expensive. There's no one I think on Charlotte that I want to play besides and have interest in playing besides Terry Rozier.
All right. Are we done with that game? Moving on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I say moving on. Moving back. Let's move back to Denver and Indiana. Let's clean that one up. 235.5 is the total. Indiana's a 5-point dog. And the thing is that, and this is a DK thing, like not a Fanduel thing, Miles Turner is 5'7" on DK still, which is absurd. I don't necessarily love the matchup here against Jokic, but again, he's 5'7", and we saw him, he completely obliterated this price last time out. That doesn't mean he's going to repeat it, but we know that that's in his bag. He's capable of doing so. And it's another center, and another center only. And they're both at 7 o'clock. And this is my quandary, Andre. I don't know what to do because I had some lineups set aside with Turner in it and some not. And now we got Eubanks knocking on the door. Yeah.
I think I personally I was like, why is Miles Turner like popular today? But honestly, I don't think he's playable in my opinion. That's just me. I understand he had a couple good games, but I'm not playing that. I couldn't.
Not playable at 5'7"? Like not playable?
No, he's playable, but I'm not playing him. He would be
okay.
Like even if I ran 150, I'll be at 0. I'll take my chances. Like,
on FanDuel, he's like 6'6", so I think it's a little bit, less justifiable.
Yeah, but even on I play on DK too, so even on DK, I just probably wouldn't play him because at 5'5", I get the price, but Jokic is down there and he's got to hopefully stay out of foul trouble, which he has not had a good history of doing.
I respect those bold moves. Just to say screw it. Again, our rankings have Portis, of course, across the board. No surprise there as a top center. But we have Miles Turner second on DK. Jokic's not far behind as well, batting fourth. And DeAndre Ayton. I don't know why I was giving out the consensus value rankings, but there you go. If you're paying attention. Ayton, no surprise there. He's pretty cheap, and the absence of Paul, a little more usage shuffled his way. Don't love the matchup against Gobert. Big boy there in Minnesota, but I think that's a little bit too cheap for Ayton. Indiana, if you're not playing Turner, are you playing Halliburton? Are you playing any of these guys? Like I see somebody in chat talking about Miles Turner being inconsistent, and he is. And there's some games where his minutes are kind of goofy. What is this? Trae Young game time decision. Thank you for nothing, Atlanta. All right. It derailed me for a second. Yeah, the other pieces in this game, as far as Indiana, like Jalen Smith's another guy, it's wildly inconsistent. I don't know what to do with him. I'm probably not playing him. Mathurin, same deal, like wildly inconsistent. You never really know what you're gonna get with that guy or how much burn he's gonna get. Man. But what else do you have here as far as Denver, Indiana?
Mathurin, I am never playing that guy ever again. First of all, I should have played Clay over Mathurin in general. That was my whole lineup.
He's a rookie. He's going to be playing in the league for the next 15 years. You're never going to play the guy. You can't say never again.
I was tilting all night long waiting for him to do something good. I'm like, I've seen him play well, and then all of a sudden he just doesn't do nothing. I'm like, man, I'm done rostering this guy. I got to see it first to believe it consistently.
Fair enough.
But to me, these other guys, they're somewhat in play. Like if I do run like a Tyrese, I'm running a game stack of it. I think he does have a good history of a matchup against Denver for sure, but that's also without Jamal Murray playing. So I I would, like I said, if I'm running Tyrese, I'm probably running Jokic or running Murray or running Gordon or running MP or MPJ back on the other side with it. Same thing with Buddy. I know he's been hot lately, been playing really well, and like shooting phenomenally, having a like 40 fantasy points on FanDuel and about 40 on DraftKings. So, and at 6'4", that's very, very, very useful. He could definitely have that game again today, but not something that's going to be a priority for me, even though 6'4" is a decent price for him. To me, that's about what you need for him to get you on a slate like this today. So not going to be someone I'm going to be highly rostering unless I feel like this game is going to go over and then I run a game stack.
We did update Portland, by the way. We're pretty optimistic on Eubanks. We're giving him 28 minutes, which is kind of what we threw out there, and 28 fantasy points, which at 3.2K is pretty usable, right? It's pretty usable. Watford, 22 minutes, 23 fantasy. He's, again, a pretty good fantasy point per minute player. As far as Winslow, we're giving him 30 minutes and 29 fantasy points, 5K for him. Hart, the reason Hart's 6.3K, we're giving him 31 fantasy points, which is fine. But that's not, you're not winning anything that. I can see Hart though, grabbing 12 rebounds this game though. I can see him having a big rebound game. If you can find a prop out there on Josh Hart rebounds,
go over or ladder it.
Yeah, if you can find that, because he's one of the best rebounding guards in the league, and Charlotte's not a great rebounding team, and his teammates aren't great rebounders around him. He's aggressive on the board. So, yeah, I think that's a good bet if you can find that someplace. Somebody let us know if that's available someplace. Or I'm curious what the number actually is, or if it's changing, or if it was taken down. But Josh Hart over on rebounds. Hit up scores and odds on that one. Find the best place to shop for it. Anything else as far as Denver, Indiana? We got a bunch of games. I suppose we got to pick up the pace, but we needed to knock out all that important stuff before we can kind of get in the groove and, hit the next 10 or so games.
Yeah, we can go to the next one.
7:30, Utah, Atlanta, 229 is the total. Utah is a 4-point dog here. It's really tricky to say a lot as far as this game because we don't know about Trae Young. The update was there was no update. He's questionable with his shin. If he doesn't go, elevate DeJounte Murray. If you want to chase AJ Griffin, I say it's not. I mean, he's 3K and he was awesome last time out and good for him. He shot the lights out, but I don't know if I'm doing that. And as far as Utah, I want to say they're fully healthy. We're dealing with an adductor. Jared Vanderbilt may or may not play if he doesn't go. We've seen Malik Beasley draw the start some games. I think we're projecting Clarkson for what it's worth right now. No, we're projecting Vanderbilt. But, we've seen Beasley jump in the starting lineup, but, that doesn't really excite me too much. He's pretty cheap, but he's also – it's one of those deals where he's going to jump in the starting lineup, but he's also not going to be the first option or the second option or the third, and he thrives more in the second unit. You get more minutes, but less usage. And if Trae Young plays I just don't love this game overall. Not saying you can't play those guys, but nothing really screaming to me. How about you?
Yeah, nothing really screaming to me either from Atlanta or this game as a whole. I probably would just cross it off everyone from this game and just move on to the next game because this is just only people I would probably want to really try to target maybe in GPPs is a guy like Clint Capella because he's 6 because he's how much I just deleted him by accident. Let me see how much he's 6'4". Yeah, he's 6'4". So in tournaments, I might want to run a little bit of him, even though we don't have him graded out that well. I still think he can have a possibly a decent spot here. DeJounte, granted, this team has been good. DeJounte I would run, but if I do run him, I'm running it back with marketing or someone else on the other side. And yeah, that's really it. Otherwise than that, I'm not going to really be playing no one from this team besides DeJounte mainly.
Greg in chat says Hart's over 8.5 rebounds at plus 110 on DraftKings.
Take it.
Yeah, I like that. Our projections, and if you guys don't know, if you're premium members, if you're not aware, and you're playing on sites like DK or Fanduel or any sort of sportsbook with player props, you can go to our premium projections. I'll actually drop this link in chat for those. Some of y'all won't be able to use this, but the ones that are premium members can absolutely could check it out. And we actually give points and assists, points, rebounds, PRA, the points, rebound, assist. If you're actually betting those things, this is very, very useful, and it saves you a ton of time. Our projection on Hart, and broken down by not fantasy points, but broken down specifically by categories as well. We are giving Hart 8.71 rebounds. So you're getting positive juice at 110, and we're projecting more than 8.5. And I think I would take over that. 8.7 might be a little bit conservative. Yeah, we both think that he gets at least 10, right? 10 more for Hart?
Oh yeah, easy. Like I might run him in my DK lineup even at 6'3".
I don't think I'm gonna do that. but it's not like it's terrible, but I just don't think I don't think I'm gonna do that.
I'm banking on turnovers and the upside that he could give me 30, 35, 30 to 40.
Let's get a move on. And by the way, did we say like if Young is out, then all of a sudden DeJounte Murray looks really good? Like it's a big spend.
He looks good, yeah, but still, I don't know if I still want to. I mean, he would be a priority, but I don't know how high of a priority because he definitely will have that upside, and 9K is too cheap for him at that price.
Yeah,
for that, but he needs to be out, and I would need that news like ASAP.
You do, but the thing is, if it comes out late, then nobody else has it, and now all of a sudden he's going to be a really strong play and under-owned, right?
True, but I think he'll be under-owned anyway. I don't think no one's going to play him to begin with.
Nobody's plugging him right now. That's a good point. Quentin Grimes is available to play. Grimy available to play tonight for New York. That's fine by me. I wasn't really messing with the Knicks so much.
Why not? We'll get to that game. Actually, that's next. It really is. Or it's either that or Houston.
Or Detroit. You want to talk New York and Brooklyn? We can do that.
Yeah, let's do that real quick because we got
bets. I wrote a couple bets up on this one. 220 is the total. Battle New York 220.5, and the Knicks are 3.5 point dogs here. As far as who is in and who is out and who we're monitoring for New York, Grimes is in. Mitch Rob is still out. Ben Simmons is expected to play, possibly come off the bench. Yuta Watanabe is out. Irving is still out. I saw our projections liking like Cam Reddish earlier today. I think that's since fallen back a good bit. The goofy thing that happened with New York last time out is that Hartenstein, he played 38 minutes or so in the absence of Mitch Rob a couple games ago, drawing the start. He didn't draw the start last game. They gave the start to Jericho Sims, who's now still 3K. Man, and there's Opie Toppin, and there's Hartenstein, and Brooklyn's a team that can go small. Like besides Claxton, maybe they'll have Ben Simmons back him up at the 5. We've seen Durant with a backup 5. So I don't know how useful Hartenstein may or may not be. It's kind of a mess. Do you have a read in this situation?
I like the Knicks. First of all, Knicks money line. They're the underdog, right? Knicks money line. They're gonna beat the Nets today. I didn't get a chance to write it up, but they're going to beat the Knicks.
Do the people care? You're in that area. Do Knicks fans and Nets, do they care about this? This is a big deal.
That's a big deal. Like I've been to the Brooklyn games before.
Yeah,
it gets crazy. It's packed always. It gets crazy.
Is Jay-Z showing up? Is Spike Lee showing up for this game? Did they carry it up, leave the house?
I've seen Hove at the game one time. I don't think I've seen Spike though, but I think I definitely have seen Hove at the game. So, but it depends. Both teams are not all that great right now, but I think it'll still be a good competitive game. But I like the Knicks here in this spot. I think Julius Randle is one of the most sneakiest, best plays on the board today, and I think he might go for 50 fantasy points, if not more. Like he's just this front line for the Knicks is just not. I mean, for the Nets is just not that great. That we always say bigs against the Nets. So at least that's what me and my friends say. So, and we just play it. So Claxton's too small. They don't really have no one else. KD's not going to play defense a lot. Royce is too small for Julius to handle. It's up to Julius to just want to go out and hustle and have a good game. He should have an easy 25 and 10 minimum in this spot here, in my opinion. So he's my favorite player from the Knicks. Probably the only player I would probably roster from the Knicks. I also do like I do like Royce on the other side just from the minute standpoint he's getting. He's playing all the minutes he can handle. And yes, he's a streaky shooter. But in this matchup, I like the spot for him, especially if you pick up some blocks and steals. I think he's a fantastic player on both sides, more so when obviously Fanduel. Kevin Durant's also excellent play. We know he can go up for a big game anytime. That price of 11.2, I believe, is really, really high. I would definitely probably play him, but he would if I'm playing Kevin Durant, you definitely have to run it back with someone from the New York. I'd also don't mind RJ Barrett too as well. I forgot to mention him, but KD's also been disappointing the last few games too.
So you're just ignoring this New York big situation, which I don't.
Oh yeah,
I hope it's just like nothing is good enough that I needed it. Hartenstein, 25 minutes. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was going to say I do love Hartenstein too. Hartenstein would be the only other I'll pretty much only play 3 guys from the Knicks: Randall, Hartenstein, and RJ Barrett. That's it.
What if he doesn't start though? You can't start Hartenstein with any sort of confidence.
Even if he doesn't start, he could still get 30, 35 off the bench.
Okay. We're giving him 25 minutes. We're giving Toppin 19. We're giving Sims 17. I think that's kind of our projection team throwing their hands up like they don't know. I think they're just kind of like cutting it in the middle, and we'll see. I wrote up O'Neal today, by the way, on scores and odds. Over 2.5 3-pointers at plus 142. That's what it was earlier today for Fanduel. He's 2/3 of his shots are going to come from 3 essentially, and the Knicks. They are a 3-point funnel. No team in this year has given up more 3-point shots the entire season than New York. They've given up the second most made threes as well. And also Royce O'Neal, his matchup, his minutes are just rock solid. He's going to play 35, 36, 37, maybe 38 minutes. He's a 3-and-D guy, but he's going to take his 9, 10, 11 3-pointers. And you're giving me plus 142 on 2.5? Come on. Did I sell you? Are you in on that?
I'm going to take that bet. I'm going to take that bet. You ain't got to sell me on it. I'm going to lock that in.
Okay. When you say take it, I'm like, you're going to book it like you like the other side? Or you're saying you like it?
I'm playing Royce. Yeah, I'm playing Royce and making that bet. You said over 2.5, right? Yeah.
But plus 142 over 2.5?
I'm going to take it. I'm going to ladder it.
I'm not watching what's going on with Luka, but Shobo King says Luka's on pace for like 120 burgers. So.
Oh, you're choking me right now. Don't do that to me.
Are you did you make one lineup or a bunch of lineups on FanDuel?
I made only one, and I did not include Luka but the thing is he's 11-8. He has to do that just to meet value and be relevant on the slate. If he gets 100, okay, salute. I'll play tomorrow, and hopefully he'll play tomorrow. But he has to have that just to be in the winning lineup.
12. Oh, geez, I don't mean to. He's got the 4 stocks in the first quarter. Those are the worst. Like when you don't play a player, like if you fade OG Anunoby, he's like 7 stocks. It's like, come on, man, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But when you get the stocks, it's the beautiful thing.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I took the under on Spencer Dinwiddie points. It might go over.
I don't know what the number is. You got anything else in this game that's worth? I like Durant as well as a good run back, and I don't know how much I'm prioritizing as far as studs, but I like him. But I have nothing else in this game that's of note.
I got nothing else either. I think we can move on to the next one.
Jason wants to know Toppin or Nwora last piece in for tournaments.
Nwora because he's going to play more minutes.
He's also better, right?
Yeah, he's going to have opportunities to shoot the ball tonight. I think he's the play.
Yeah, I think I would lean Nwora. Yeah, apparently Luka's got 30 in the first quarter, according to. He's gonna rest for a little bit at least. He's averaging 36 points per game so far this year, which I can't. When was the last time somebody's averaged 36? I feel like that's been a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be the MVP this year, finally he's going to be the MVP this year as long as he stays healthy and plays at this level.
Giannis?
No, even over Giannis because Giannis is doing good, but this Luka is different. He's not. It's not like last year. This Luka's like I think he's like on a mission. Like
Giannis is also resting. He's rested twice already.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a knee. I don't know if he's really rested. Who knows? I mean, you're in Oklahoma. I feel bad for OKC season ticket holders. I feel like everybody rests their studs. Like, at least we get to watch Giannis. No, never mind. Let's stay home. Put him on StubHub. Detroit, Boston. 226 is the total. Boston is a big boy favorite. 13-point favorite here against Detroit. I did mention that Cunningham's got a nice price on DK at 7.5K. The minutes have been good for these Detroit guys. Their rotation is pretty condensed. That line moved, by the way. We moved the needle because Royce is apparently now down to plus 130 at over 2.5. But
All right, I gotta go
still
get.
like it for the record.
I have not gotten any. I'm trying to make this DK lineup. I have not got that in yet.
You like any Pistons tonight against Boston? It's a big, huge slate.
Yeah, this is a game I'm skipping completely. And if I was to run anyone, it would be a Jaylen Brown, or it would be Tatum. That's the only two. And but if I play those, I'm running it back with a guy like Cade Cunningham. That's really probably it. No one else I really would have interest in. I mean, you could run Jay and Ivy in tournaments, but I think this league is just too big to even have him play, even though he's NBA ready.
Cunningham, the only player in this game that's actually getting ownership above 10%. We're currently at 12% on Cunningham, Brown at 8%, Smart at 5%, Tatum at 3%. But if you have one big spend as a Tatum, I guess theoretically you could have two big spends because of all the value tonight. He's fine. I'm probably not going to get there, but if you want to play Tatum and Cunningham, you want to run those together, that's fine, right? Okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely not a bad matchup or run back.
I don't think there's a lot to say as far as this game otherwise.
Nope, we can move on.
Yeah, in the interest of time. And again, we're going to try to save some time to get some questions. I want to do our best to answer questions on Discord because people are going to be showing up at 6:30 waiting for Andy to answer all their questions and Roth to be hosting and all that kind of stuff. And I want to appease, especially the premium guys, and do our best to appease those that show up on YouTube at that time as well. Hey, if you guys are on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all the things, hit all the buttons, make us happy. Keep the lights on. It shows that you appreciate us. All right. We are moving on beyond Detroit and Boston. We're going to move to Houston and Toronto. 224 is the total. Toronto is a 10-point favorite here. Man, that rotation on Toronto is super, super tight. And we know Houston yields a pile of fantasy points. This is like one of my quandaries because I was talking about Rozier. It's like, well, do I like Rozier or do I like Freddie VanVleet? And that's a good conversation, I think. Who do you prefer amongst those two?
Freddie all day, every day. Freddie's just in a perfect position. He has to be the scorer for this team, especially for them to just win in general. So it's Freddie VanVleet all day for me. I think he's a lock. He's someone I think is a must play, even at 8,500. It's still not enough. We've seen his price get all the way up to like 9.5, I think, last year, if not even more. Just play him. Just play Freddie. I do like running. I don't like OG's a little bit priced out of my range now, but I do like Scotty Barnes. You can run him in tournaments at 7-8. I think that's a good. It's a little bit expensive on the high side, but he gets to steal some blocks to make up for that, to give him that upside in a game in this spot.
What's OG on FanDuel? He's 7 on DK, which I think is okay. It's fine.
He's like 8.4.
Yeah,
8. I think so. Let me look. Yeah,
I can't talk to that.
Yeah, 8.3. He's too expensive.
Can't talk to that. Gary Trent's 5.7, which I think is really usable as well. And we know the deal with Anunoby, FEV, Trent, Barnes, all going to play, barring goofiness, barring blowout, barring injury, barring foul trouble, like 35-plus minutes. And they're facing Houston. Houston's a fantasy point sieve, so all look good. I think Freddie is the best play. I like the Trent price at 5.7, Barnes 7.7. There's a little bit of meat in that bone, but I wish it was a little bit cheaper. As far as the Houston side, as far as runbacks, there's nobody really that's popping. Porter's 7.8. It's a little pricey. Fine, I guess. Green is 6.1. Şengün 6.5, but it's center only. Who do you like in the Rockets as runbacks here? Because there's usable players, but I'm more excited about the Toronto side than the Houston side.
Yeah, I think this is a game, even though I think it will be a little bit competitive, I don't think you have to run anyone back with it. It's not knowing that I'm going to be prioritizing or trying to get to. The only person I would think about maybe is Kevin Porter and Jalen Green, just because I know they can keep shooting and get these guys in the game. Other than that, that's really it. Not really have interest in anyone else.
Moving on.
Pels
Bulls 232.5, high and tight. Pels just a 2-point favorite here versus Chicago. Chicago is pretty healthy with the absence of course, Lonzo. He's been out the entire season. Kobe White is still out, not a big deal. Drummond expected in with his shoulder. Larry Nance, who closes a lot for New Orleans, he closes many times where Jonas Valanciunas is questionable. I think if Nance doesn't go, it opens the door up for potentially Jonas to play 5, 6, 7, 8 more minutes, which is pretty interesting. Otherwise, I have the same thing. New Orleans is a good basketball team. They're pretty deep. everybody's priced where they should be. Hopefully, like maybe one of these guys rises. I don't know who it's going to be, but I don't have anybody that I have to play on New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. Yeah, it's not really a team that I'm going to be trying to get to, even though this total is really, really high. If anyone would probably be, obviously, you already know who I'm going to say. Brandon Ingram.
Your boy.
Brandon Ingram's too. His prices hasn't moved yet. So I think he's the only guy we'll probably try to get to. Maybe even, I mean, you could go with Zion in tournaments. I don't mind it because he's still at 8'3", and he's a big that gets you different from all the other bigs, and he can still dominate the front glass because no one's gonna be able to stop him. The bigs in the front court that they have are too small to stay in front of him, and the other bigs that they have, as far as like Valanciunas, Vucevic is too slow to keep up with them. So to me, Zion is like an excellent tournament play.
By the way, this is the front half of a back-to-back for New Orleans. They're home tomorrow night versus Portland, for what it's worth. I don't really have much else in this game. Did you talk about the Bulls? I'm sorry. I was checking the schedule and I got distracted. I was looking at the chat and I was doing a poor job of listening. I know you're giving dynamite analysis, but thoughts as far as the Bulls?
Bulls, I mean, you can obviously play like Zach LaVine is still too cheap. 7K is too cheap for his price, so I'd play him. I don't mind DeMar either, but if I'm running those guys, like I said, this will be a game set. You got to run back with like Zion or Brandon Ingram, in my opinion.
Question in chats, and this is sort of my quandary, and it's not like it's a tricky question because Don Uzi's asking Miles or Eubanks on DK. Miles Turner, I presume. It's two different players at two different price points, and they're both good. And it's not a 1v1. It's like a 3v3 or a 4v4, right? Or a 2v2, depending on. But I like them both, and I'm sort of trying to figure out which ones I want to lock in right now for my lineups. We're at 42 minutes until lineup lock, and I don't know what to do because my plan was for everybody to play for Portland, and they did not cooperate, unfortunately. But do you have a thought on that? You know, again, Miles is 5'7", Eubanks is 3'2". It's a tricky question because there's more to that question. But who do you prefer as a starting point, I guess, Miles Turner or Eubanks?
Eubanks is too cheap. He's 3'2". Like, that's just too cheap of a price. I'll just take my chances with that and all day and see what happens.
Derek in chat says play both. Yeah, like you can play them both too.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could also play Warford, like and Winslow. Let's see. Can I play Warford, Winslow, and Eubanks without a run back?
I wouldn't play Warford and Eubanks together.
You don't think they can both get there? I guess they're both probably can't get ceiling games.
They can't get ceiling games, and I think you're gonna need a high enough score to win first place. Where you're not both of them not gonna be able to get there for you in a winning lineup, in my opinion, unless this game goes to like double or triple overtime.
The only counter to that is, and you might be right, the only counter to that is they're so cheap. You know what I mean? Like if they each put up theoretically like 35.
If they put 35, it depends on who else. Like if you would have to have but on DK, you would have to have like Luka in your lineup, and he would have to go crazy like he is now to even probably be, I think, in that conversation, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Like we have like Jokic is 11-6. I don't think his upside's there today. Kevin Durant has his upside there today at 11K on DK. LeBron 10-4. He does not play well against the Clippers for some reason. Jason Tatum 10-3. I don't know the Detroit's going to push him. Paul George, he could get pushed by the Lakers, so he's in play. Ja Morant going against San Antonio, that could be a blowout, but they need him to score, so he's a possibility. Like these guys, you have to think in a way of, hey, is this guy going to be able to give me a ceiling game in this matchup, or where the game is going to be able to stay close? That's what you have to think about too.
You could play Eubanks and Warford, and now you have 7-1 per on DK from beyond, and
you can play, yeah, and
you really can load up. And like if you want to play like Payne, let's just throw Payne in just for fun.
I don't like Payne today, but we'll get to that.
You don't like Payne today, okay? No. Now all of a sudden we're at 7-7 per. I mean, I know this is kind of chalky, but
it's hard to be chalky with that because you can be chalky with the value. as long as you're getting the upside, as long as they're making sure they give you like the 30, the 35, 40 fantasy points, and the other positions you're getting that you're spending up on are getting close to their ceiling, you'll be fine.
Let's see in chats. TJ says on DK you can play them both together. On Fanduel he would not play them both together. As far as those 2 Portland bigs, Jason wants to know if I let's see mush play today. Have I mushed anybody according to TM? No, I guess I haven't. Have I mushed anybody tonight? I feel like I haven't.
Not yet.
Coming.
It's coming. You haven't yet.
You mushed Campaign, which is a bold mush.
Oh yeah, he is not. I'll take money on that from anybody all day, every day. He's not playing. He's not going to be in the winning line tonight.
Oof. Oh man. Okay. But like he's projected for like 35 fantasy points. I'm curious what you think is like bad. Like 25's bad. Like that's kind of bad.
He's like 4.6, right? He's like 4.6 today.
On DK, I believe he's 4.2.
Yeah, that's no
4.3.
No, just give me Eubanks all day. I'll take that.
Well, you can take them both and then now have a good time and really load up.
Yeah, you can, but he's a streaky player. He's historically has not played well against Minnesota. I'm just give me Devin Booker all day. He's only had one good game, and that's his early career when he was on OKC against them that he's played really well. Other than that, he had a 13-4-9 game last season against Minnesota. That's not worth it in my opinion. And he played 32 minutes that game because I think both Chris Paul and Chris Paul was out as well then too. So that's if you want to play that, by all means, good luck. Give me Devin Booker all day. He's a lock.
Yeah, well, he's up next, and that's a good segue to Phoenix. Phoenix, Minnesota, 222.5 is a total. Phoenix is a 2-point dog here. Michael's saying that you've mushed now Campaign and Miles Turner.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like that's if those both miss, like in context, you can have yourself a good night on DK. Those both miss, and you don't have them. But all right, let's talk about the Phoenix situation. The reason why we're talking about Campaign, of course, is we're presuming he's going to draw the start. The absence of Chris Paul. And he's just 4.3K for your cash games. You play Campaign. You're saying,
sorry for folks that just are tuning in. I'm a tournament player, so don't take my advice unless you're trying to win big. but I mean, take my advice in general because I'm gonna give good plays. But don't want to say that. But I'm gonna take my chances and ride with in at times and figure out what's a good play and not a good play. My opinion on Payne, I just don't think there's a matchup for him. They have other guards I think that can perform out. He's not gonna. His usage might be a little bit up, but how much ball handling is he gonna do compared to Devin Booker? Devin Booker is gonna be the person to bring up the ball and initiate the offense. Like I watched games last year, a lot of games last year with Phoenix, because Phoenix is probably like my third favorite team in the league. I love Devin Booker; he's one of my favorite players. He brings up the ball a lot, especially when Chris Paul was out to initiate offense. They want the ball in his hands because they trust him, and to that way to put up the buckets, to put up buckets if he needs to. So Devin Booker would be a major guy as a high priority compared to Cameron Payne. Cam Payne has to get hot, and if he gets hot and streaky and shoots, I'll tip my hat off and say so, and move on to the next slate. But he's a streaky player, doesn't and has to get hot. Devin Booker is going to hit you with a mid range. He's going to hit you with the threes, drive to the basket, get to the foul line, get some assists, get some rebounds. Is Cam Payne going to do all that? I'm not a big believer in that.
All right. Yeah, and I know what you're saying. I just wanted to be clear, like for those out there listening are making cash games, I want to make sure they know that you're not saying don't play them in cash games.
Yeah.
You're clearly coming from a tournament perspective. 4.3K on DK. We have a really healthy projection on him, around 32 points, 32 minutes, essentially a fantasy point per minute guy. I agree with you on Booker. I think Booker's phenomenal too, which again, I was talking about before, how much I like some point guards. I like FEV and I like Rozier and I like Booker. And I like SGA as a run back in that Milwaukee game. And I like Payne as a cheapie. I understand it's super chalky. And like, of course, and I respect the fade. And there's plenty of pivots. Like, you can play one of the Milwaukee point guards, which we'll talk about soon enough. So Booker's your guy. How do you feel about Ayton?
I like Ayton today. I'm iffy on Ayton though. Like I like him a lot. I want to say he is not a lock, but definitely someone will be well over the field on. It's just I'm just concerned like his matchup against Rudy Gobert in particular is not that he hasn't put up like amazing stats against Rudy Gobert, but he has put up amazing stats against the Jazz in general. So I would love to find out how, like, I think they're going to run obviously a lot of pick and roll, so he'll be able to get to the basket. But I want to see how, like, I might play him on one line, I'm not sure, but I'm going to watch the game and see how much, like, is Towns on him, because I think Towns is the weaker defender of the two, clearly. So if he can get Towns on him, he can have a big day here. So I like Ayton in tournaments. I love taking shots on him, and I probably would just be overweight on him.
All right. Minnesota side. I don't, yeah. What are your thoughts as far as the T-Wolves? Does anybody kind of jump off for you? Because I don't really have that today.
On FanDuel, he just continues to be too cheap. My guy, Anthony Edwards, he's just too cheap. He's had good games against Phoenix in the past too as well. I think it's a good matchup for him. We already know that what's his name? To me, he doesn't do anything much out there. D'Lo, he's another streaky player. Great tournament play, I think, tonight too as well. And it's just between, to me, Edwards and Towns. They have to rely on the points and scoring. So I think Edwards is an excellent play. I don't mind Towns in tournaments as well. If I'm playing Edwards, I'm running it back on the other side. But Edwards is also in my lineup too as well on FanDuel.
As far as ownership on the Minnesota side on DK, we're getting nothing. Like, nobody's above 5% ownership, and I'm rounding up just to leave a little bit of wiggle room.
He's too expensive on DK. He's like 8 to 8.2.
Cat is 9.7, and of course, Gobert coming back, and Cat, his price has jumped up. In the absence of Gobert, he's thrived. Now he's going to fall back, so he seems sort of overpriced. Let's just move on, because again, I want to save some time for questions from the chat. 4 games left. This is a big one. Milwaukee versus OKC. 213.5 is the total. Milwaukee looks like they're just a 1.5 favorite. Obviously, their big three, they're all out today. Giannis Antetokounmpo is out. No Drew Holiday all season long. Chris Middleton's been out. Coming back soon, I believe. Pat Connaughton hasn't played basketball for him all season long either. We do get Poku available for OKC, so as we know right now, they are expected to be healthy. Oh, they sent down Jalen Williams. I guess I missed that. OKC. Jalen Williams is now in the G League. They still have plenty of dudes. Yeah, Milwaukee. So the one I don't want to play, you want a mush play? You ready for it? And I don't know if this is a bold mush play. Like George Hill. Like, I'm not playing George Hill. Like, what am I getting for George Hill? Like 24 fantasy points if I'm lucky?
I don't know if anyone's playing George Hill.
He's getting some ownership, and he's probably going to start and play 27 minutes or something like that and put up 24 fantasy points, and he's 3K. Okay, they're not playing him on FanDuel. They might play him on DK. I don't think I am. I just don't see a huge ceiling for him, and if he somehow has a throwback game, good for him. But, obviously it's Bobby Portis. That's what we're starting on the Milwaukee side. Grayson Allen looks really good when you kick everybody off the court as well. Yeah, Bucks, prioritize them. Go.
Bobby Portis, lock. I'm iffy on Grayson Allen. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with him. I can't play him on FanDuel no more. Too many guards I like over him. DraftKings, he's definitely in play. He will be number 2, definitely though. I'm trying to figure out where even with the usage going there, how many shots he's going to take, is the coach Bud going to give these guys all the minutes? Like, that's what I want to know. And how many minutes is a guy like Noora going to get? Because he's my 3rd favorite play from this. Brook Lopez would be more of a high priority, but I don't know how many minutes. He's had a lot last year, so Brook Lopez probably will get 30 minutes. So he'll be probably 4th. But I don't think this is like how it was. Like, it's not an old throwback Brooklyn Nets Brook Lopez game. I don't think we get one of those. If we were, then he would be a must play, in my opinion too. So I just love probably just Portis. It'll be Portis, Allen, Noora, and then Brook. Or actually, let's put Brook ahead of Noora just because I don't know how many minutes Noora's going to get. If Noora's going to start a lineup though, then I like him ahead of Brook. But I know they started who last game?
The
someone else, the rookie that they have, I think.
Yeah, Beauchamp.
Yeah, Bojam. Yeah, they started him last game. He sucks. Like he might be a talented rookie.
Is he not a rookie you're never going to play ever again? You get the full proclamation.
I played him and I switched off of Noir to play him because I'm like, okay, I'm thinking he's gonna do something. No, just no.
They have 12 bodies. I think at least 12 bodies. Like they have guys, so it's like depth. Even though they're without their 1, 2, and 3, there's still plenty of players to play. Rotation minutes, and Grayson Allen may not start, and he might only play 28 minutes, but like I think he's still fine. And that's what they do. Like a lot of these guys are going to play like mid to upper 20s minutes. And that's what we have projected. We got 32 for Portis, 32 for Carter, 30 for Lopez, like Allen at 28, Hill at 26, Noir at 22. I feel like there's room for more than 22 minutes. I think he can play 26 to 28, especially if he starts. We'll see when that lineup comes out. I like him as like either way. I mean, if he comes on the bench, so be it. I think he could kind of sort of play de facto starters minutes. Question in chat. Michael wants to know, this is large field tournaments. Would you play Lopez and Portis together? Can you play them together in a large field tournament?
On this episode, you can, just because how much usage they're going to have. But I would just also be concerned to find out how many minutes is Lopez going to play. I'm not worried about Bobby Portis' minutes. This is Lopez. Granted, like I said, he's had a lot last year with his back. I think he had surgery in the middle of the season. But it's just also a matter of, is he going to play the full 30 minutes or not? I think he did the last time they played. They had a situation, if I'm correct, earlier in the season. But it's not someone that's going to be a high priority for me. But you can definitely play them together, I think. But I wouldn't count the upside being there, honestly, for him.
You're going to be over or under the 47% projection on Bobby Portis. I will be over that as far as
if I'm running 150 lineups, I'm using 150 of my lineups. He's a lock.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like I'm just not messing around with it.
Yeah,
I know it's a 12-game slate and 47% ownership seems like a huge number, but it's just really good.
I'll go down if I lose. So be it, but he's the right play at that price point to lock in. I don't mind Carter too as well. I didn't mention him.
Big Gavali's got a question in chat. We have for Phoenix. Are you any interest in Bridges at small forward? I don't know if we talked about him. He's fine, right?
He's fine, but he's 6'2". But with Chris Paul being out, he's going to have to probably have more usage, and also Cam Johnson's out. I just don't know how much of a ceiling game he's going to be able to have here in this spot.
His ceiling is, does he get stocks?
Yeah.
Like he has those days where he's got like 4 steals and 3 blocks, and there you go. He's smash city. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't do that, like I feel like he's one of the most reliant players to get there. More so than others.
Definitely. I agree with that 100%. And because he's going to play the minutes, you don't have to worry about that. He will play probably like upwards of 35 to probably 40 minutes tonight.
Yeah, he's out there. He plays every single game. I think he played all 82 last year. Did he win Defensive Rookie of the Year? No, defensively, he was close. He was in the conversation. I guess Marcus Smart won it, right?
Yeah, Marcus Smart won it.
Larry Nance officially ruled out, by the way, which I think the most interesting thing with that is that Valanciunas gets a little theoretically is gonna close now, not necessarily because New Orleans can roll out multiple combinations. The update on Steven Adams is no update. He's still game time decision. We haven't talked about Memphis just yet. If he doesn't go for whatever reason, Clark drew the start last game. Tillman and him split the 48, and Clark got the large portion of it, like 31 of the 48 allotted minutes. So I think he's kind of interesting. If you're looking to backload stuff, Clark's a good guy. Just kind of have as a placeholder, and if things crack your way, he's certainly a good play. I see in the chat they're asking about Javon Carter. We kind of mentioned him in passing. A 3.9K. Like, how many points does he need to put up to be usable? He's got to put like almost 30. I would say at least 30 at 3.9K on this slate.
Yeah, he has to put it like 30.
Pacers are starting Halliburton, Hield, Nembhard, Smith, and Turner. Thank you for dropping this in chat, Don Yeezy. I do appreciate it. Oh, should mention, if you guys are jumping in here and you're looking for Andy and you're looking for Roth and you're looking for STL cards or who else is on? Keith. Yeah, so FanDuel had the Dallas game on their main slate at 5:30. So they started crunch time at 5 o'clock. We kind of flipped things around. If you really want to hear Andy's thoughts, I won't be offended. Just go back and rewind. Some things may have changed, though. The slate is always fluid. But, Andy and Keith gave their thoughts earlier. We're going to knock out these rest of the games game by game. We're going to answer as many questions as we can in the premium chat, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. If you guys are premium members, you know where to go. Go into the I'm pulling it up now on the fly. The Discord channel, the room would be the NBA Crunch Time channel. And then I'll do my best to answer as many questions in the YouTube chat as well for the freeloaders. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, not in an insulting way. We got anything else? What game are we talking about? I got distracted. I got derailed. OKC. We should mention OKC, right?
We talk about the OKC game, yeah.
I like Shea as a run back, and that's basically all I'm playing at OKC.
Love Shea. Just love him. He's too cheap for his price. So he's just too cheap for the way he's been playing lately. I'm not going to say for his price because he's probably at the right price in general, but the way he has been playing to start the season, you have to play this man Shea, in my opinion, and I'm going to play him at low ownership today.
Shout out to Derek in chat. Freeloaded long enough. Sign up for RG today. Yeah, awesome. Welcome to the team. Derek wants to know, right on cue, DK tournaments, you like Şengün, center there for Houston, or J-Val, who, again, I don't know if the situation changes. It can't get worse. Nance is the guy that steals 10 minutes in the close. Maybe he draws the close tonight. You like J-Val or Şengün for tournaments? Who's got a higher ceiling?
J-Val plays Chicago. Şengün plays Toronto. They both are not in ideal matchups that I would want to target, but probably Şengün more so just because you don't have Siakam in the front and you have the Koloko or whatever his name is.
I would argue that Valanciunas has a good matchup just because at all times Chicago's going to have a big out there. If it's not Vukovic, it's going to be Drummond. So New Orleans is going to need a big body like Valanciunas more so than they typically do. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense.
Tell me I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong.
No, it makes sense because I think they might match minutes, but I just personally still think that Şengün can have an upside game here in this spot. I think he's just a better overall I can't say better ceiling play, but I think he's more likely to have a better game in this spot today versus J-Val.
Nembhard is starting for Indiana. Do we care? How much does that matter?
That does not matter to me at all unless he breaks a slate. Then I'm going to say, okay, on to the next one.
He's 3-5 on both sites for what it's worth. He's coming off a really strong game. I don't know if he's going to be that efficient, but interesting. I would say it's at least of note. We've seen Mathurin close strong. We've seen Mathurin do nothing. You hate Mathurin after the one game he burned you.
Yep.
I just think it's interesting, but it's a 7 o'clock game, and I don't know if I want to lock anybody in there. There's value all over the place. I wouldn't say you're the worst player in the world if you play. You get yourself some. Who are we talking about?
Mathurin.
No, I was talking about Nembhard for Indiana.
There's too many players, too many options above him, but.
I'm trying to make lineups. I'm trying to multitask. I am supposed to be here today. Not at this time, though. All right. We have 3 games left, and then we'll hit up the Discord channel as well. Wait, now they're saying, Naismith off the bench. Okay. Memphis and San Antonio, 234.5 is the total here. Memphis is a 5 or 6 point favorite, depending on where you're looking. Kind of touched this one already as far as the Steven Adams situation. If Steven Adams does not go, we will see, I presume, Brandon Clark will once again draw the start. Strong fantasy point minute player, and if he gets 30 minutes against San Antonio, I think that's really appealing. If you want to just hold and wait and see, I think that's an interesting move. Obviously other players on Memphis, Bane, like him, Ja, Shore. And also, just when you consider the prices, I like the big body Keldon Johnson at 7.3K on DK. It's a pretty solid price. And Vassal jumping in the starting lineup for San Antonio. Don't hate Pirtle either. It's just that center's pretty strong. I don't really want to pick on Adams necessarily. I would like Pirtle a tick more if Adams is out. Your assessment as far as Memphis, San Antonio, we're supposed to like this. It's a big total.
I like Ja. I'm going to try to go through this quickly because I know we got to get going with time and everything. What? That's a scam. Sorry. I'm talking about going quickly, and I'm just getting distracted myself.
No worries.
It happens to the best of us. But Memphis, on Memphis side, we gotta wait for. We haven't had no Steven Adams. He's still questionable, right? So, I mean, I would have a lot of interest in Brandon Clark if he is going to. If Steven Adams is out, because the minutes are going to be there. I was good to see him play 30 minutes last time and be in the starting lineup. That gives me more comfort in that. So, Brandon Clark will be probably one of my top plays from Memphis. If that situation does happen, I like John Morant in tournaments as in general, because San Antonio plays hard. No matter what, they do play hard. They're actually in the playoffs right now. That is scary. The fact that they are trying to lose, but they are winning. But anyway, the same thing with Utah. But
But yeah.
So but it would be Clark, Bain, and Ja. But Ja would be, if I'm playing Ja, I'm running it back with like Vassell or Keldon Johnson, as you mentioned. I don't mind Jakob Portal, but I only will play him if Steven Adams is out. He would only be in play then. If not, then I'm not going to mess with it. This might be also kind of worth waiting for, because Brandon Clark can have a good game here, especially at 4-2. So if you do have spots left, I don't mind waiting for it. But
what's the worst case scenario? Like, say you get stuck. I mean, like, is Clark you just stuck with him and he's going to play 20 minutes and you hope for the best, or is there another?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look right now to see if there's any pivots on both sides that you can go with, because the game starts at what time? 8:30.
So that's the thing. It's an 8:00 game, and then after that, there's 2 games at 10.
I mean,
so we might get it at 7:30. It's possible, right? You never know when you get the information.
Yeah, but it also depends. Like me personally, like if I like me, for instance, my lineup, my forwards in my lineup are Julius Randle and Porter. If I get that news before then, I might take Julius Randle out and put Clark in there and then move up somewhere else. So it's kind of important in that sense, because I'll take that chance on him. But if you're running a lot of lineups, I don't mind it, but leave yourself some wiggle room, especially if leave yourself a way out to swap out to someone else. That's what I would say to do. But they're going to start around the same time as these other games at 8:00. So we should hopefully get that news around 7:30. Hopefully, maybe even before then.
Question in chat. Jeff Morgan wants to know, Trey's available, by the way. Trae Young available. He's in. So now rank these 3: John Morant, SGA, and Murray. I have Murray third for sure.
Trae Young, SGA, or Murray?
Yeah, Young in.
Murray's third, SGA 1, Morant 2.
I have SGA 1 as well, because I want to run him back with the Milwaukee guys. And I can see SGA just having putting up like a 35, 10, and 12, something insane out there.
And that game is still going to be close. That game is not going to be a blowout.
Well, if it's close, it's because SGA is doing his thing.
Yeah, it's going to be close regardless, I think. I think there's not enough talent on Milwaukee right now, with all their guys being injured, to make it where it's a blowout. I'll be surprised.
All right. Anything else of note as far as this Memphis game, Memphis versus the Spurs? We kind of gave our thoughts there. Good little game stack. Bain is kind of popping. I don't know. I like Bain, but I don't know if I'm prioritizing him. Like it. You mentioned, there's two games at 10:00. Again, we give a break. 8:00, Memphis, San Antonio, then 10:00, the Lakers versus the Clippers. 219.5 is the total. Not the most appealing total, obviously. 2 of the weakest offenses on in the association. Let's check. I'm just curious. I feel like that's still the case, right? Are they 1-2 as far as the worst 2 offenses? They are. 2 worst offenses in all of basketball this season when it comes to offensive rating. We're getting LeBron back in this game, so all that Laker value that was kind of sort of somewhat was okay until the game completely blew out last time is no longer a thing. Although we do have for the Lakers, Lonnie Walker is still out, and Pat Bev expected back with his illness. The Clippers are expected to have John Wall back. He's off the injury report. He was just getting a back-to-back injury management, whatever you want to call it. Of course, Kawhi not coming back anytime soon, or we'll see. I feel like this game's kind of a dud. You could play LeBron and you can play Paul George when I don't love anybody else on the Clippers side. And, with LeBron back, all those guys, I guess you want to chase Westbrook, but now he's even more expensive. He's going to be coming off the bench, obviously. I don't have a lot of interest in this game.
I have interest on a little bit of guys here. I like Russell Westbrook off the bench. I think he's a fantastic play. Even at that price point, because the only reason is because he's coming off the bench and all that usage. He's good. He's dominating the second unit. There's no Lonnie Walker either as well. So that's another player down that you have to worry about, and he has to some of them still score. It's just a little bit of a tough matchup because the Clippers are the Clippers. I like Mr. Glass tonight as well. If y'all know who Mr. Glass is by
He
now,
made it through all 4 quarters last game.
yeah, hopefully he makes it through this one. But he's played well against the Clippers when he has played. So Davis would be someone I don't mind getting in my lineup.
Sam Jackson? Is that who you're referencing?
That's who I'm referencing.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. LeBron is fine. On the other side, I like Zubac. I don't know if anyone's noticed this. The bigs against the Lakers have been dominating, but have been playing pretty well lately. I've watched a couple of them or look at their stats against them, and I'm just like, I can't believe this. So Zubac I have a little interest in Zubac for that specific reason. And he obviously get there with the double, and then also with the blocks as well. Maybe fall into a little bit of steals. Zubac is a guy I love in tournaments today. I do like, if I'm running Paul George, I've got to run it back with either LeBron, Westbrook, or Davis. But Zubac would probably be probably like a priority.
Oh, I didn't even realize Don Yeezy in chat's talking about Zubac revenge game. That's right. Yeah, the Lakers kind of did him dirty a little bit, right?
Yep, they definitely did.
they didn't like playing him a lot for whatever reason.
Yeah, they were. I don't understand. I still don't understand that trade to this day. Like, they just pretty much gave him to the Clippers. I was like, that's one of the dumbest trades in NBA history.
Any Laker trade has been like, I don't understand what's going on here. Remember they refused to trade Taylor Horton Tucker, like, oh, we can't trade, and they just gave him away to the Jazz in the offseason.
But you give him away for Patrick Beverly. I don't understand this team, man.
Yeah. Who's your second favorite team, by the way? Earlier you said Phoenix is your third. I know Miami's number 1. Who's your number 2?
My number 2, I want to say like Chicago, just because like I grew up watching Michael Jordan a lot. I love Michael Jordan. One of my favorite players, obviously, but probably is Chicago, definitely. But I do like I don't know. Ever since I've been going to Arizona a lot in Phoenix, and I love the arena. I love the vibe in Phoenix. And plus that stadium is amazing.
Did you get close enough where you hear the chatter? You hear the smack?
Oh yeah, I sat courtside in the NBA Finals.
Who was the best smack talker? Do you remember?
Who was talking a lot that game?
Was it Phoenix versus Boston?
Phoenix versus Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, that's right.
That was so long ago.
Can't remember.
If I had to say who was the best smack talker there when I was watching it play,
I feel like Booker would be good.
I probably was like Devin Booker, definitely. It probably was definitely Booker. It was Booker and Chris Paul.
Yeah, I can see that.
It definitely, because I sat by. I'm still kind of upset about this because I had the opportunity where I could have bought a ticket to sit in the front row, on the left side by LeBron when he was there.
Okay.
And I didn't know that he was coming to the game. Clearly, you're never going to know.
Okay, he's hanging out.
And yeah, I would have sat next to him, but I ended up sitting on the other side by Lil Wayne and Kyler Murray. I was happy for that, but still, it would have been nice to sit next to one of the second best player of all time.
Yeah, well, but like LeBron's boys with Chris Paul, I guess. I'm assuming he was rooting for Phoenix.
Yeah.
Question in chat: PG or Cat raw points? Do you like Cat or Paul George? I will take Paul George in those two. I
agree, because just from the standpoint of the matchup, and Paul George is more by himself without Kawhi.
I don't love this question. We're gonna get to this actually because we have a healthy projection on Monk. Oh boy, now producer Steve's gonna mess with me. He's gonna tell me in the chat who's the GOAT, Jordan, LeBron. I know what everybody's gonna put. You guys are wrong. Stop it. You can't beat nostalgia. And now I can't read the questions. I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna put my vote in. And all right, it's 50-50. Last I saw. All right, Monk versus Harris in DK tournaments. Monk, we have a healthy projection on it. I think I feel like it's a little fragile. I don't know, man. He's got to score points. He can, but he better.
Who?
Monk versus Joe Harris.
We talking about playing Monk today?
He's kind of popping in our projections, which I did not love. He probably has fallen back with everything else going on. So I don't know what his price is on DK on Fanduel. He's 4.2 on DK, and we're projecting a pretty mid-20s on him. So it's like, you don't need it, but I don't think I'm playing him for the record.
I'm not playing.
And then there's Joe Harris, who's he's got a great 3-point matchup against the Knicks.
Monk, how many minutes? They're both getting around the same amount of minutes too.
Harris is up to 30-31 for what it's worth. Like, he's getting his minutes elevated.
I mean, I understand people will have these huge games. The thing about it is he's a streaky player. Cleveland actually plays really good defense. I would probably go Joe Harris. Monk can have those games back to back, but I don't think it's happening tonight against Cleveland.
Let me just hit these questions real quick in the chat. All right.
Oh, let's run through the last game, right? What's the last game? The Cleveland game?
Cleveland and Sacramento. I'll just go ahead. You talk about it.
No one.
I don't like that game either.
Donovan Mitchell's too expensive.
Yeah.
Only person maybe Jared Allen. That's it.
So I'm looking at questions. These are from 5 o'clock. I don't know when people would have asked these. If you asked questions before, if you don't mind, ask them again, but I have some loaded up here. All right. DK Cash, Barnes or Bane? Projections love Bane, but I like Barnes. Scotty Barnes versus Bane. I feel like Bane feels more for tournaments, and Barnes feels like more for cash.
Yeah.
My thought.
I agree.
I'm not playing on Fanduel, but Gamble28 wants to know, Ingram and Levine, good prices on Fanduel. Are they okay for cash? I can't speak to it. Can you?
I mean, I wouldn't. Brandon Ingram is. I mean, he is. I think he's good for cash because the total is high. He'll have the opportunities. Levine's too cheap. So yeah. I
see Adam in chat asking if we like Julius Randle. I see G-Man.
Lock him in.
G-Man 0150 Randle for tournament. Well, there you go. He's one of your favorite plays. I know you talked about him earlier in the show. So yeah, you're big on Randle tonight. Carolina guy, Fanduel tournament favorite stud to spend on. And Drizzy wants to know your Fanduel single entry favorite game stack. Are you forcing a game stack? I'll answer. I'll give you a second if you need a second. I like Milwaukee, like 2 or 3 Milwaukee and SGA. If you want to call it a game stack, that's my answer.
That's my game stack. We were on the same page.
Your favorite stud to spend on. Who do you got on Fanduel?
Shy.
Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned.
Shy, Fred VanVleet, Devin Booker, because you can fit them all in.
I like that answer. I like all those guys. Big Gavali is talking about Garland on Fanduel is the move for tournaments. I don't know if he is on Fanduel. I can't speak to Fanduel, but his price on DK is really, really good, and he's cash game playable on DK. So I didn't mean to just throw that aside. He's still too cheap on DK for whatever reason. I think he's like 6'9" or 7K. It's good. Yeah.
On DK, Fanduel, I'm not playing him. 8K, he needs to give you 40, 45, especially on this slate.
All right, jumping back to the Discord channel. Let's see. FRIs 80, DK Cash, 3v3. You got Allen. I assume that's Jared Allen. Durant. Is that Jared Allen? No, it's Grayson Allen. First and last names, please, if you don't mind. Grayson Allen, Durant, and Ayton versus Freddie VanVleet, Vassal, and Bane. I like all those pieces.
And what was the first one?
Grayson Allen, Durant, and Ayton versus Bane, Vassal, and Freddie VanVleet.
I'm going to say the second one.
All right, we're talking about Randle. We like Randle. Do we think Chad Fisher, Trae Young, do you think he finishes the game? Like, I guess. I don't know. I assume so.
I hope so. Else's lineups? I hope so.
Carolina guy wants to know, what strategy do you use for Fanduel tournaments if you're building 3, maybe 4 lineups? Do you just plug in the low-owned players and then play a little chalk around it? Can you give like an efficient answer on that somehow?
I play whoever I feel is the best play. Honestly, cause back before before I was on RotoGrinders, I used to just make like maybe 1 to 5 lineups a night. I would just research and dig in a lot. I typically would obviously look at the core plays and figure out if those core plays or if those chalky plays are worth it. But from there, I just build around it with what I like. And sometimes I end up forming a natural game stack, and sometimes I don't, based on the matchups in the game. And a lot of times when I've won first place in a lot of these contests with one lineup, I remember one year I just was running so hot. I was just taking down a lot of high dollar stuff with just little mini game stacks and playing one guy, 2 guys at low ownership. You gotta find that in there, and you can easily. It might be at the price that they are, but you have to know the matchup and just dig into it a little bit. So I would just try to think about that a little bit and play it that way.
That's a tough question. Achilles wants to know, FanDuel Cash, do you have a lean as far as Pirtle versus Ayton? It's very close. I don't think it's close.
It's not close. Ayton.
All right. I was curious now. I want to check our projections. I bet our projections have it really close. I know, you have an opinion, and like I also have like I know better than projections sometimes. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. When you point
I do that sometimes. I remember, this is a quick story. Actually, I'll tell off the lock because it has to do with Andy before I was even on working with RotoGrinders. It is so funny.
Let's see. Our projection for Ayton on FanDuel is 36-ish, and Pirtle is 33-ish. So okay, fair enough. I think it's close, and I would be struggling as well personally.
Booker, Portis, those are some of the people in my lineup.
G-Man, a question. He's asking about Randall again for tournament. Brooklyn gets throttled down low. Pivot off of Hart.
I said that. Yep. I love it. Love it.
I'm not sure if I understand that question. Just for tournaments, Brooklyn gets throttled down low. Pivot off a Hart.
I don't know why you're playing Josh Hart over Randall. Just play Randall.
Yes, you're saying, okay, I guess he's saying I have Hart in. Should I force Randall in? I guess what's going on there?
I'm assuming so.
Not certain. Vasal, Derek in chat, Vasal or Kelvin, the big body. I prefer the big body of Kelvin Johnson over Vasal. If you're going to ask me which one of those two, how about yourself?
Vasal, baby.
Let's see. Any interest at center 5,500 and below? I don't know what sites you're on there, MJ the Kid. Let me know what site. Maybe we can get that in. Jamal Murray for tournaments, DK tournaments. I think he's better played on FanDuel than on DK, but he will be lost on DK. His price is better on FanDuel, but DK, man, there's a lot of good guards.
Hold on. Why are we second guessing this question that he asked the guy before it? It's Drew Eubanks.
Well, okay, with the 5,500. Well, yeah, but yeah, it's Eubanks, and then now what? Now MJ the Kid's got 2K. What's he gonna do with that? Follow-up question.
Spend up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Play what you want.
Derek said he just joined RotoGrinders. Join the Discord, Derek. You can ask your questions here too, but just so you know, going forward, Roth will prioritize the premium Discord channel questions and the NBA Crunch Time channel. Happy to knock these out. 6,200 for guard on DraftKings. DraftKings, a guard for 6,200 or less. Let's see if I could just hit the scroll. This makes for great internet television. Murray 6'3", Jalen Green 6'1". I like Trent 5'7".
I was having trouble with this honestly because that's exactly what I have left, and I was trying to find a guard for 6,200 that I like, and I really don't like anybody. I landed on Gary Trent and having some salary left over, but it is the best I think you can do. All
right. Anything else going on here in the Discord? I think I got everybody's questions here in Discord. Chad Fisher was asking, what's up?
Jalen Green in tournaments. Jalen Green's a good play in tournaments.
Chad Fisher was asking, we think Trae Young gets a full workload. If he's playing, I think he's playing. I think he's going to play, upwards of 36, 37, 38 minutes. I assume he's not going to be this wasn't a long-term injury. So I assume it's just standard for him. We just hit lock. I have no idea who I'm playing in the 7 o'clock games. I was just clicking buttons. We'll see. Hopefully we land on something positive. Andre, you said you had a question. No, you had a little story.
What did you say before? You said something about a low-owned play or something like that. I forgot what it was.
What did I say? I don't know. This thing just flew by.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I got to make some lineups on the fly. I'm out of my comfort zone. Cloud in chat says, I feel like me and Andre have the same lineup. Booker, FEV, Booker, Portis. He's got Booker twice. And then 2 Portland guys and another mill guy? What's a mill guy? I don't know what that means. Minimum, maybe?
I hope we don't have the same lineup. I don't have 2 Portland guys. I definitely don't have 2 Portland guys. I'm not playing 2 Portland guys.
I don't either. I have a good bit of Eubanks. I have some Rozier, and I have some who's the other guy? Did I lose my Turner? No, I got some Turner as well. All right. All of his lineups are single entry tournaments, by the way. Let's see. Joaquin in chat stock just says Milwaukee guy. Who are you asking about here, Joaquin? They just want to know about Milwaukee. Booker. There's not 2 Bookers, right? Am I missing?
No.
Okay.
I would.
What was your story? I mean, we got to tell the people about.
I think it's about like a low-owned play, if I'm correct. I don't know. One time I think it was just like that's why I always say research, do your own research. Not trying to say no one's bad at picking plays, because you can pick your own plays, but if you feel comfortable in the play, more so, if you're comfortable with the play it. A couple years ago, I remember I asked Andy. One of my questions got answered on the show, and I asked who. It was a Knicks player. Who was on the Knicks? That was a guard.
Derrick Rose.
No, it was a little bit before Derrick Rose. He was
Charlie Ward.
He was acting. Oh, I'm not that old. He actually was a good player. Anyway, he was like mid-salary. He was what's his name? He was like 6'7". He was on the Wizards. The Wizards. He was on the Wizards back in the day.
You talking about the dude that was he kind of kicked out of the league or something?
No. He didn't get kicked out of the league. He's white. He's like 6. He was like 6'5", 6'6".
So it's not Garrison Matthews. This is like years ago.
No, he actually was able to handle the ball. I forgot, but anyway, I was digging hard into like this, like research and looking up all numbers, and I'm like, is this guy a good play?
Marcin Gortat?
Oh God, no, he's a guard. He was a guard.
Yeah.
Definitely not Marcin Gortat. I was like, is this guy a good play? He said no.
Hammer.
He was like, I don't think that this guy is. Andy said no, this guy shouldn't be played at all. I was like, gosh. I said, okay.
Tomas Sadaransky. That's probably who it was.
Yes, Sadaransky. Thank you.
There you go.
Exactly who it was.
But Shaq got it.
Yes. Whoever was that, he should get a free week of premium.
Okay. I mean, yes. Slide in my DMs and let me know, and then let somebody else know, and we'll make it happen for Hoosiers Hang Banners.
With Tomas Sadaransky, I asked him if he was a good play against the Knicks.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, he's not a good play at all. He's just don't play him at all. 3-5. I played this man. He went off for 45 fantasy points. I won the tournament, took it down.
Did you do like how do you like them apples to Andy?
Oh no. I just took my money and kept going. I was like, I know I was right, but play who you like. Like, and we don't get 100% of things right. It's impossible for us to get everything right. But play if you're comfortable with your research. Play whoever you like and just trust that, because one day it will pay off. It will. I'm living proof of it. I would never thought about my million years I'd be working for a company that I love to watch it and have watched for years. So play whoever you like.
It's a pretty good gig. Aiden wants to know Terrence Mann or John Wall. My answer is no.
Neither.
Like why we don't have to do that. Unless you're playing like a showdown slate or something. I don't know if you're talking about the main slate or it's like the 10 o'clock slate. Then maybe that's a conversation. You're not going to love your lineups then. But I think you can do better, basically.
I agree.
Anything else, Andre? I'm trying to see if Anyone got of notes before we step aside and get out of here, make my lineups. I'll be back in less than 2 hours talking some football with Daigle and Rich Rebar. If you guys want to get a little first look as far as the Pick Six show, just throwing it out there, get a little plug for the people. Talking some football, week 10. Lineups are coming out, by the way. FEV, Trent, Anunoby, Barnes, Coloco, no surprise. Sumner is starting again for Brooklyn. Sumner, Harris, O'Neal, Durant, Claxton, Rockets, Standard, Porter, Green, Gordon, Smith, Şengün.
I really need that Milwaukee lineup because I got Noir in my DK lineup, but I don't know if I feel good about it.
I think he's fine either way. I think, like, obviously, I think you want him to start, right? But I wouldn't say he's unplayable if he comes off the bench.
No, he's not unplayable, but it just makes me uncomfortable a little bit. But he should get the minutes without a doubt.
All right, Honor, give the people some. I don't know how to. I don't have any paper. I got to do the crunch thing. I did not come prepared. Roth always says you've been crunched.
Oh,
but it's just two people. I know he likes to yield to the other person to say goodbye. That's his rule, so I will use that rule.
Yeah,
and I'll let you say goodbye to the people.
All right, so thank you for watching, and hopefully someone wins tonight. So hopefully someone comes in second place behind me and Fanduel and in DK, and we're gonna get out of here. And you have been crunched.